see you this lovely morning. We'll wait for a few people to get in and we'll start having our discussion. I'm still waking up, getting my cup of joe, and reading about some of the news. I was watching the UPS plane that crashed. It sounds like when it took off, one of the propellers were already on fire, and then as it went up, it didn't last very long and came down. It's presumed that all three of the members on the plane were taken out. There's a total, if I'm not mistaken, last count, 7 deceased. The 7 that they found deceased, from what I'm understanding, or at least 3 or 4 of them, have nothing to do with the plane. So obviously those were random victims. This kind of didn't hit in a very good place. I mean, it sounds like there was an auto parts store that may have lost 2 of their employees from the crash, and there's 2 employees that are unaccounted for from everything I'm hearing. So we'll go through some of those. I just want to say good morning. Big Back Mike, me and you. JK, it's nice to see you. GK, excuse me. Denise, Lisa B. Always. Melanie, it's nice to see you. Jacqueline, hi. Good morning. Mona. Rhonda, good morning. Good morning. Amelia, good morning. It's nice to see you. Gigi for life, it's nice to see you. Welcome. Good morning, ladies. Sandwich, who? Right on time. I felt it. Pale Rider, good morning. Yeah, I've been enjoying our conversations in the morning, so I'm gonna do those. I think we'll be back in the main office. It's been a lot easier when I'm working like this, just to pop my phone up and go live. It takes so long to set up the system that, I don't know. Some days I just don't want to. I just don't want to. Do you guys ever get like that, where you just don't want to do it? I just don't want to do it. I'm fighting with myself. So anyways, if you guys did not hear, UPS plane flight 2976 was scheduled. It's a cargo flight. Apparently it was carrying some fuel as well, from Louisville to, it sounds like Honolulu. And shortly after it took off, it exploded in air and had, because of, I'm pretty sure, the fuel. It doesn't seem, I just want to get out in front of all of this. It doesn't, in my opinion, everything I'm reading so far does not appear that it has anything to do with the shutdown, people not being paid and stuff like that. But it could, because, in all fairness, how in the world did a plane take off with one of its engines already on fire? It was on fire, from my understanding. There was literally flames shooting out of the engine before it even took off from the ground, from the tarmac. So, I'm kind of iffy. And if it comes out to be an air traffic controller problem or some type of problem because of the shutdown, we've got 7 people's lives gone, their families destroyed, and I'm praying that it has nothing to do with this shutdown. But if it does, oh, Delilah, she's in bed somewhere. She's not out here, so she must still be under the covers in the bed. Yeah, she's still like, in the morning she wakes up and then we do our little, because she's already been up, she's already run around. Her and I have already played, with each other. We've already, it's just, she's probably tuckered, she got back up under there. Israel's playing. GK says it's Israel's fault. Oh, good gracious. I can't believe we have a sector, and I think they're just doing it because they're pissed off at Trump. Trump didn't accept them or, worked with them, and then, distanced himself from them. And of course you can see who all those people are. It's like the Tucker Carlson, Marjorie Taylor Greene. Marjorie Taylor Greene's trying to start buddying up with like Tom Massey and Rand Paul, and it's just you're seeing this, and it's just like a late, like I don't know if I would do that. I don't know if I would do that, but it seems like there's this faction of anti-Israel people, and I'm not anti-Israel. I really, in all fairness, I love the Israeli people. Well, I love all people. Let me just be honest with you. I love all people, and if all people could act right, we would all be friends in whatever. I don't want to I don't want to be mean to people, but there are some things that are in direct conflict with our way of life, and that's Islam. I will stand on that. People can call me Islamophobe or whatever the heck they want. I'm not Islam. I love Muslim people. I don't like their rules. Okay, their rules don't bode with our rules. I'm not saying that there's not good Muslims out there that practice the Quran respectfully and properly, but there's a lot of people out there that don't. And unfortunately, those people that don't can wreak havoc on our way of life. And therefore, we have to, do something about it, something pretty severe, because we cannot have that way of life here. I'm sorry, we just can't. You can't have people that want ethnic cleansing of anybody that's not Islamic. Okay, that's what their teachings are. Sorry, we don't do ethnic cleansing in the United States of America. Okay, I just want to make sure we understand that. Okay, we don't like the mutilization downstairs of our children. So again, doesn't both. So you can call me all the names you want. It doesn't matter. It is what it is. It is what it is. It is what it is. I love beautiful people. I love everybody, but we have different areas of the country, of the world, and I'm sorry, but sometimes segregation is appropriate. And in a situation where people want us dead, sorry, not sorry, segregate their asses, okay? Get them as far away in wherever they need to go. Let them flourish someplace else, just not here, okay? I'm sorry. There's no. Mm-mm. Anyways, getting back to the plane crash and everything like that, I don't know. It's weighing on my heart because, could this have been, good morning, Beach Life. It's nice to see you. Over there. I'm sorry. It sounds awful, and I know how horrible it sounds. I don't care. It's my truth. I'm not going to lie about it. I'm not going to hide who I am. If I believe something, I stand on my hill. Yeah, it's just who I am, I'll deal with whatever I got to deal with. But this whole thing, it has me a little concerned that, that this whole shutdown's affecting people. And if we find out this is an ultimate result of these people, 7 people being dead, we need to be holding our Democratic parties accountable for this, because we've been trying we've been trying to pay people, right? We want people to have their SNAP food, even though I think there's wild fraud. Nobody's addressing that issue right now, right? And we just want to get the country open and running, and then we can negotiate everything else, but that's not what the Democrat side's doing. They really want people to suffer. And maybe because they like to tell people that it's ours. Maybe that's what helped them win the elections. I think the elections were rigged. Okay, I don't think we got enough illegals out of here. I think that illegal people were voting in our elections. I think Mandami was voted improperly. I don't even think he should be here, let alone be running for governor. But I digress. We had a sweeping, very detrimental. But I think they put these votes in these weird areas because this is not a normal voting cycle. And I think they do that intentionally to reduce the number of people that come out and vote. And that's on the Democrat side. They play those games too. Otherwise, why not have their elections every 2 years or every 4 years like everybody else does, right? Why would they have one-off elections in the middle of a non-voting year, okay? It's very specific. They want as little votes as possible. People don't show up in these weird years. They know that. I think it's voter suppression, Democrat voter suppression. Everything that they're screaming, they do. And here we go right here. And now we have a horrible governor for Virginia, a horrible governor for New Jersey, and a horrible governor for freaking New York. But you know what? I'm going to let this thing play through. I'm laughing. Like New York, you guys done fucked up, but don't worry. You know what? You're going to set the tone for the rest of the world. You're going to set the tone for the rest of America, because what we're going to be watching you guys fall flat on your face over the next 4 years. You are going to lose everything. We're not going to support the federal people. Federal funds are not coming to you. You guys want to have all the rich people pay for everything? Fine. See how that works out for you. Watch those rich people walk right out of your state and into the state of Florida. Watch. And when that happens, who's going to pay for your free food? Who's going to pay for your free childcare? Who's going to pay for your free transportation? Oh, when you're sitting there waiting 3 and 4 hours just to get that free, enjoy. Welcome to communism. So we're going to let you guys play this tape through. We have no choice, right? Enjoy. That's what I'm going to say. And this is what I'm going to say to all you New Yorkers that are going to be moving because of you guys just hiring a communist, okay? Don't come to Florida and screw up our voting, okay? Because you guys don't know how to vote. You already ran yourself out of your own damn state with your voting policies. Congratulations. And if you didn't, and if you voted the opposite way, well, you guys should have went out there and door knocked. You should have gotten off your ass and worked harder. Okay? There's no excuses, right? If the shoe was on the other foot, I would tell myself the same thing. I go out there door knock. I do phone call banking. When I have a politician that I get behind, there's not anything I wouldn't do for that politician under the law. let me make sure I throw that out there, because there's a lot of people that do a lot of stuff for politicians that aren't colored in the lines of the law, okay? I'd be in the lines of the law. But what are we going to do about, if this truly is, if this massive explosion, this UPS thing, if this truly is something related to our shutdown, it's going to be a tough pill to swallow. And you guys, I hope you guys do your thing and start beating down the Democrat doors, because we need to open this country up. I don't want to hear anybody coming over here and bitching about food stamps or anything else if you haven't been making phone calls to your Democrat senators, the ones that are keeping this country shut down. Until you guys start making the calls, don't be complaining. I don't want to hear anybody complaining, because you know where it's coming from, you know why we're shut down, and we're not going to get back open until somebody stands up and does something. We know our government is corrupt. We just had the governor's freaking office raided, and they found 8 kilos of cocaine in the governor's office in Massachusetts. We've got, I told you guys, we have people that are deluded, that are literally drug addicts running our country. I tell you, you know what? Every day you guys come here and I have to fight with a bunch of idiots that have no freaking college education, called the hate channels, drug addicts. I got to deal with them telling me I lie. I don't know what the hell I'm doing here. And sometimes that stuff gets into my brain. It says, hey, maybe you don't know what the hell you're doing here. But then time and time again, we come here and things that I said a year ago, 6 months ago, 3 months ago, then we'll get an article. We'll find out not only did I tell you guys the truth, I was spot on. I've been telling you guys for how long that our country, some of our country, Democrat side, okay? Not that saying that the Republicans, just the Republicans they got too many, they're too square. They got sticks up their ass, okay? They're bougie, but they ain't, party bougie. They're like, they're drunk boozy, okay? So you'll get, like, our side has a bunch of drunks, but their side has a bunch of H addicts, C addicts, CRACK addicts, just really bad stuff. And they're in their office smoking that shit, booting that shit, and running our country. That's the kind of crap I don't like. Melanie gifted a Bullhorn Betty membership. GI got that Bullhorn Betty membership. Welcome to this crazy family we call the Coffee Club. The insanity of love. Grab your straight jacket in your padded room. Yeah, Matthew. Yeah, there you go. Methy people. There you go. People have been running this country high. I mean, look at the White House. The White House had a bag of cocaine in it, for the love of Christ. Whose was it? Everybody's wanting to know about the Epstein files that happened 20 years ago. I'm still trying to going, was it Hunter? Like, everybody believes it's Hunter. Like, I think Hunter's getting a bad rap because he's a drug addict, right? Any good drug addict doesn't lose their bag of drugs. I'm just saying. And they damn sure don't leave it on the wide open there on a table, okay? Drug addicts remember where they leave their shit, okay? They want to make sure they get every little crumb, okay? They're not going to walk off and say, oops, I forgot that. No, they're not. So I think this is going to be somebody. I think Hunter's, I really do. I think somebody's blaming Hunter. I'll keep wondering what Jill was doing in that Oval Office. Oh, I'm just joking. She's too old. No, she's not. I am surprised at how many old people, that are still trying to live out their younger youth, right? Back in the hippie days. Y'all need to stop, okay? You're lucky you lived this long. Why are you pushing it? And we are addicted to our coffee. Oh, good gracious, good gracious. I didn't know you have been sick. I'm so sorry. Oh, Seclusion, you've been sick? I'm sorry to hear that. Oh, thank you, Gigi. Thumbs up. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up. So we don't really have a whole lot to talk about this morning other than a bunch of crap going on in our government, which I'm quite frankly, I'm done talking about it. Guys, guess what? Our government's messed up. Does that surprise anybody? If that surprises anybody, please put a 2 in the chat, okay? I'm not even going to tell you guys to put a 1 in the chat because I think the 2s are going to be so few. Does it surprise you that you've involved the government? We have a screwed up process? It doesn't surprise me at all. It doesn't surprise me. So we have that. We have Keon King. Nobody's wrote an article about Keon King in 2 weeks, which Keon King's the murderer of Kada Scott, right? Kada Scott just had her funeral on Saturday. Her family basically put out a notice to everybody. They don't want to talk to nobody. They want to be left alone. That they were going to be getting somebody to speak on their behalf for future stuff. Because, this guy's going to be going to court. People are going to want to know what their responses are. They're going to be asking them a lot of questions as this stuff goes for, sandwich goes for. Oh, good gracious. I didn't say anything. It's the best last 6 weeks left. Oh, are you going, what's going on? I just received word. It's ending. Now I'm allowed to eat whatever I want. Oh, I'm sorry. Eating cinnamon rolls, drinking Diet Coke. I need a cinnamon roll with my coffee. Coffee is somewhere in my vocabulary in my life somewhere. Like yesterday, I drank coffee literally all day long until I decided it was time for me to have a little bit of aqua in my system. My system runs on caffeine and just a itty bitty bit of water. But the fuel's caffeine. The fuel's caffeine. Well, stay positive. You never know. Stay positive. So we have that, and then of course we have Melodee's case, which you guys know how I feel about Melodee's case. I think this case has been blown out of proportion. I don't like, law enforcement playing games with the public. I feel like they're still playing games with the public. They're playing peekaboo to try to find a child that they're not entitled to know where she's at. I believe mom took the child out of the county, out of the state to hide her. I've said that from the very beginning. And everybody's like, why would a mother put a wig on her child's head? Why would a mother change the license plate? I wonder if she sold this child. It's like, because she's trying to hide this child from the people that are trying to take this child. It's very simple. It's a very simple, understandable, digestible motive, okay? And it's not anything that I believe that this child is deceased. Now, there are going to be some things, and I'm reading and reviewing this, Do I really need this? I do not. Man's body found in creek, prompts homicide investigations. We got a man's in St. Lucie County. I think that's Florida. Is that in Florida? That's Florida Sheriff, St. Lucie County. We have a man's body in a creek. This happened a couple days ago. Today? Yesterday? Port St. Lucie or St. Lucie County. we've got a man's body floating in the creek, so we have somebody that's deceased in the county. So if you have any information, it looks like it's going to be a homicide investigation. Just thought I'd let you guys know. Body found in Taylor Creek Spillway. Taylor Creek Spillway. So if you're Fort Pierce area, this is the 1800 block of US Highway 1. I don't know how many Florida people I have in here or who I have in here from St. Lucie County. And this is Taylor Creek, and this is in Fort Pierce, which I believe is part of St. Lucie County. Again, homicide. It looks like they're going to be discussing this as a homicide. We also have it in Indiana, a woman's body found in a wildlife area. This happened on November 3rd. This is in Elderfeld, Indiana. A woman's body was found Sunday afternoon near a boat ramp. And that's the Indiana Bluegrass Fish Wildlife area is being investigated as a suspicious death. So if you're in that area, there is a woman out there 5 feet tall, weighing about 130 pounds, with a distinctive tattoo of a heart and ribbon outlined, located on the front lower part of the heart. The tattoo is an outline with no color and contains no words. So if you're from Indiana and know this person, they don't have a photo, otherwise I'll show it. It's 812-867-2079. I do not see a name of the woman, just that a woman's body was found in Indiana Wildlife, and we're learning that is the Bluegrass Fish Wildlife area. So I don't know if you guys are missing anybody or know anybody that is missing. Now, somebody sent me something. I think it was Sonia. Good morning, Sonia, by the way. I think it was Sonia. And she sent me, yesterday I ran a story. And it was a weird story. Because we had a kid by the name of Antonio Wright out of Cleveland, Ohio, missing. And this appeared to be almost a new national center for missing and exploited children, identity or release, active alert of some sort. At least that's what it looked like. I could not find any information on Antonio Wright, so it prompted me to call the Cleveland Police Department to find out, where this child disappeared from. Now, I will tell you, I've never received a call back from anybody from the Cleveland Police Department, which is very, very upsetting for me because, again, it appears we have a 10-year-old child in the Cleveland, Ohio area that nobody even knows is missing. There's no news on it. There's no information on the case at all from anybody. And when I called the sheriff's office or the police department, they did not have an idea of who I was talking about, which worried me. That it appears that the National Center of Missing and Exploited Children's got a request to put a child on their system that may not even be missing or is missing and nobody knows is missing because somebody dropped the ball at the Cleveland Police Department. I can't figure out which it is. So that was a pretty interesting situation for me. And then Sonia sends me something where there was an article being posted online about how the kid went missing from days to weeks to months to years. And it's like, years? He's just reported missing on November 2nd, 2025. So that case is all kinds of messed up. And I'm wondering, are there people trolling the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children where they are making emails and stuff look like they're coming from established law enforcement, and they're actually engaging a National Center for Missing and Exploited Children profile for somebody that doesn't even exist? I live in Cleveland, 84 to 87, called 911, put you on hold, never responded to shots fired. Jesus. Well, you know what? If it's still going on, Cleveland, I'm sorry. There's just at some point you just got to start blaming the community. You know, if you put up with this, if you allow this to happen, if you don't say anything and you don't fight for your community or the safety of your community, I don't know what to say to the people of Cleveland. If this has been going on since since '84, and you haven't voted yourself out of it in 40 or 50 years, like, I'm sorry. At what point do we blame the politicians anymore? You know, at what point do we start blaming the community? Like, you want change, you want to bitch about everything, yeah, you keep voting the same problems back in. What's wrong with you? Oh, good gracious, good gracious. So we have a little girl that's been missing since July here in Florida, and her name's like Gabrielle. I think it's Terralongy, something. I think it's Terralong. She's 9-year-old girl, not July, June. She went missing from Florida, and many people thought she was with her mom. I think her mom's name is Pasha or something like that, Passha. I think it's pronounced Pasha. And so if you guys, I wish I could show you. I might have to show you. Hold on, let me get this little girl up here. Let me turn this off. Let me see if I can get this just right. There she is, but let me take the background off. So there she is. That right there. Her name is Gabriella. I think it's Gabriella. Gabrielle Terralong. She's 9 years old. If you guys have seen her, it is believed that she is in the Orlando area. She's in the Orlando area. So if you guys have seen her, I don't know if we have her. If we have her mother on this one or not. Do we have her? There's her mother. Yeah, we do. So this is Pasha. This is who we believe that she is with. Let me go in. Maybe I could turn this off. Oh, there we go. There you go. There's her face, and then this is her daughter's face. Right there. So she's been missing since June 2025, but it seems like there's been a lot of uptick of information coming in. And that uptick of information coming in is saying this child and Pasha are in Orlando, Florida. So this is going out to my Orlando, Florida family. If you are in Orlando, Florida, and you see this girl or this woman, she might be working under the table at a hotel. There's got to be a way. She's got to be making money somehow to support herself and her life on the run. So if you're out there in the Orlando area and you see maybe somebody at a hotel, restaurant worker, something like that, there she is right there. She's 5 foot 2 inches tall. She weighs 130 pounds, so she's kind of thick and short. And she should be with this child right here, or somebody should recognize it. Now, this is what, no matter what she does with this child's hair, there's going to be some things that you're not going to be able to change. For example, the teeth. The teeth have a clear gap between them. The eyes, the beautiful almond-shaped eyes. No matter what, you're not going to be able to change those features. You can put a wig on her hair, you can change her hair color, you can change her hairstyle, but you can't change her teeth and you can't change her eyes or nose. So you're going to be wanting to look at the things that you can't change and look for. So there we go. There we go. Okay, there we go. I'll get you guys to sit back up here. I'll get my background back on. So this is the path of travel. Now, I will tell you, for Melodee Buzzard, if you guys are not familiar with Melodee Buzzard, she's a 9-year-old girl. Her story's a little different, and I think that's where people don't understand why we are where we are in the Melodee Buzzard case. I think it's very simple. I've seen this story before. I've seen it played out personally in my own life, so I can identify the feelings. I can identify the behaviors. This is very, very clear to me, and maybe it's because I've had experiences of this. Not me personally, as you guys know, but through friends and hey, Cynthia, it's nice to see you, love bug. I hope you're doing well. But we see, we've seen some things, and so this is not very, very difficult to understand. And maybe many of you guys will understand the behavior as soon as I say this, because I think everybody in our life has experienced loss, death, death of a loved one, or seen or knew of a friend, right? Knew of a friend that lost a significant other, that were potentially not married, and how the families. One thing I've noticed in death. Sometimes it brings out the greatest part of your family. But also, sometimes in death, it brings out the horribleness of the family. All of the secrets, all of the skeletons in the closet, all of the pain. There's a lot of distance between some family members. And my experience was with my best friend. His name was Nick. He came from Philadelphia, as a matter of fact. He lived here in Florida. Many of you guys don't know my story. I don't plan on going into that aspect of my story because it was very, very troublesome. And, it parts could still keep me in danger in part because of some of the stuff. But he was a handler, so to speak, of for me. And then we ended up, after I exited that relationship, not with him, I've never had a relationship with my best friend, but he was a handler when my significant other was in prison at the time, whatever the case may be. So anyways, after all that died out, we still remained friends. And he was with a lady that I absolutely loved. I'm not going to say her name publicly, but there were family issues. So when I met Nick, he had his significant other, and they had 2 children. They weren't married, but they had 2 children. And so I was friends with his past girlfriend. And then, of course, when they split up and separated, I was Nick's friend, not her friend. So I kind of stayed with Nick's clique. And then he met another woman, very nice lady. They really hit it off. They really enjoyed time together. And they started building a life together. Again, not married. His children, he never got to see his children, but I'm never going to say anything bad about children, because children just take family and fathers and mothers for granted because they're young. They're not, I'm never going to blame a child for making poor mistakes when their parents died prematurely and they're coming to grips with the loss of their parent that they thought would be around, So I'm never going to but long story short, the children kind of came out of the woodwork, and so did the other family. And, Nick and my friend, they had established quite the life together, a home, multiple vehicles, normal stuff that you acquire with a significant other that you've been with for years. And when he died, he had a clot in his lungs, so it was very unexpected. In the middle of the night, he woke up. She described him saying that he was on fire. He was in a lot of pain. He felt he was on fire. That's what she kept saying. He was on fire. So he dived into the water. He turned on the shower and just jumped into the shower. A cold, cold, cold shower. He was on fire. And she's freaking out. She's calling the ambulance. The ambulance comes. He knows something's wrong. They're not liking how he's sitting on the gurney, so they're flipping around with him. They're not taking the fact that he is in serious condition seriously enough, and he dies on the transport to the hospital. He was alive 1 minute, arguing with the people, and deceased before he even arrives. It was just that quick. But the family came out of the woodworks, and it got to the point where my friend felt very unsafe to be in the house. She was worried that his family was going to come over there and rob her. It got really contentious with the family, and wanting his stuff, like, how do how do you define what's his and what's hers? I mean, their whole life were commingled. I mean, his money was her money was his money, went into the same account when they purchased stuff. I mean, what's his and what's hers, you know? And so it really got contentious, and this was a situation where the death in this particular family was horrible. It brought out the worst of the worst in people. Do you think my friend has anything to do with that side of the family? No, she doesn't. And you know, when I got involved, my response was, you know, take her to court. We'll see you in court, but stay off the property. I had to call in people. I had to make phone calls I hadn't made in years just to make sure she was okay. I was that worried. And so I've seen ugly in families. I've seen where people want nothing to do with family. And if that was remotely anything relevant to what Melodee and Stacy went through with Rubiel's side of the family and them trying to take her daughter, I can absolutely understand why she wants nothing to do with them. Because you've got a family that's always got, every time your child is around them, you're going to have to worry about them trying to find out if mommy's being mean to you, and, you know, just doing all around F crap that we would not agree with as parents, okay? And I'm sorry, you guys know what I'm saying. You guys have seen it before. I'm not saying something you have never seen before. Rubiel died, okay? His last offspring was Melodee. His family probably wants Melodee to themselves because that's the only thing left of Rubiel, right? His older daughter, we saw her, she's an adult. This is the baby of the family. And I can see a family that's missing their loved one wanting to take the last living heir of the loved one away from the mother, especially if the mother doesn't like you and doesn't want anything to do with you and not bringing that child around. We can see how contentious this is. And how much emotion would be involved in this. And this probably has a good reason and a good justification and understanding as to why there was no contact with this family for 4 years. And to me, I understand that. And they did try to take this child from her to the point that Rubiel's mother said they even hired a private investigator to try to track her down. They said that in the article. So we know the level of what she's running from. So this idea that she's running and hiding her behavior and hiding her movements seems like she's had practice, because she has. She ran from the mess of family before. She ran from their PIs, and she salvaged the fact that they were trying to adopt her daughter, take her daughter away from her. For what? Not wanting to have anything to do with a family that tried to steal her daughter before. Not wanting to have anything to do with a family that reminds her of her deceased lover. I mean, what? Does she as a mother not have those choices or rights to make? Because according to California, allegedly, if they just come knocking on your door and say, hey, we want to know where your child is and why you took your child out of town, apparently we're just supposed to comply. And many people would say, I comply. Well, I'm sorry. I'm not one of those people. You're knocking on my door. You better have probable cause. Don't be interrupting my day. The government better not intrude in my life in any way unless they have reasons to intrude. When this child was missing for a year, they had reasons to intrude. When this child was missing for 2 months, they had reasons to intrude. But this mother clearly is trying to hide her child. It's not that her child is being AR'd or essayed or even deceased for that matter, in my opinion. Now, God forgive me if we find out, because there is some things that are playing a very critical point, and it has to do with this map here. And I think a lot of people, this is where law enforcement is playing word salad. I don't like it. I don't like it. Because everybody's saying, oh, Melodee was seen on the 9th at this place coming back to California, implying that she wasn't still going where they needed to go to drop her off. They said that they saw her on the 9th in Utah. Now, I have a problem with this entire timeline because we don't have a timeline, right? They've never told us what time she was at the car rental place. They never told us what time they observed the New York plates being on the car or what day. They don't tell us up here, right? Up here, they don't tell us what time was it, because it could have been after just 12:30, midnight, 12:30, after midnight, and it would have been on the 9th, right? So this right here, this trajectory to be over here is about a 12 and a half hour drive. I checked it myself. It looks like it's about a 12 and a half hour drive, give and take, probably around 13 hours. This looks like a trip that was there and back. Okay, very quickly there and back. I'm still not on the mindset she killed her child. I'm not going to be on that mindset because there's nothing that indicates that she has ever harmed her child in the past. I mean, the best thing that they can come up with for harm of this child is that this child may have been served raw eggs. Okay. Now, as disgusting as that is, okay, far cry from the child abuse that we're accustomed to seeing in these types of cases, especially ones that have a federal investigation spanning over multiple states. Okay, I'm just saying that's the best that they could come up with to support her mental illness and to support some type of abuse. Hardly a scratch of the surface. Okay, I don't know, many of you guys, I've served raw meat before. Okay, I'm not delusional. It was an oversight. I'm just saying. I don't know. Maybe when I served the raw meat, maybe I was having a mental break. So what? So what? My meat after that point was cooked thoroughly, so what does it matter about the one time that it wasn't cooked thoroughly? I'm just saying. I'm trying to break this down to make it digestible and why I see this. And then, of course, now we're hearing everything I'm saying is true, but the pundits on mainstream media are like, oh my God, why would she be doing this? She's obviously guilty of something. Well, that's not how the law works. All of you legal eagles, all of you legal eagles and legal beagles out there on court TV and stuff like that know how the law works, and this is not how the law works. You don't force a federal investigation because somebody told you I'm not telling you where my child is. You have probable cause for that investigation, or you do not have probable cause. And they're not talking about the probable cause. Outside of Jennifer Coffindaffer, you would have never learned that the rules, the laws, she was the only one that brought somebody on to break down the laws in that state to explain, hey, this lady hasn't really broken any laws. Okay, well, explain to me, if we're hearing from law enforcement saying, well, she really hasn't broken any laws. She really hasn't done anything against the law, civilly or criminally. I mean, we keep hearing it over and over again. She has authority to take her kid over the state line. We just find it suspicious that she's changing the license plate. Well, sounds like she doesn't want somebody following her, if you ask me. And again, where is the crime in that? I've done that before. I was under surveillance. I changed, and this was long before I ever got here, okay? I was running with a rough crowd, like I said, my best friend being a handler and stuff like that. I was running with a very, very big biker outfit. It was a very dangerous lifestyle I was living. I was under surveillance. I was slinging, bad stuff. I was doing bad things. And so I was always trying to lose a tail, okay? That was my 20s. I told you my 20s were crazy. Then when I say they were crazy, they were crazy. So I was always trying to lose a tail. There was one time, and people were like, oh, it's all in your head. So you know what I did? I took a friend and took some chairs and parked in the parking lot of Walmart. And I took the chairs out and sat them down there. And I said, okay, let's watch. Let's see how crazy I am. And one right after another, vehicles we had seen all day long. Just pull it in, they'll park, wait there, 2 or 3 minutes, and then back out and move out. And then another car would come in. So, I mean, I know what I'm talking about, and I proved it to people before, that I was under surveillance. I wasn't under surveillance from law enforcement. I was under surveillance from somebody else. And I'll just leave it at that. But when you go through that, you learn to do things. You learn to, go over 2 lanes and then make a right hand turn, or go over 3 lanes and make a quick left hand turn. You learn to do stuff like that. You learn to change license plates in certain areas, so if somebody is following you, they can't follow you too long. These are still nothing that I haven't seen before, and nothing that is nefarious to me. If anything else, everything that has been exhibited, we have heard and seen before. Where? In domestic violence situations. No? When women go underground, we don't see the same type of behavior. And so it made me start thinking, how contentious really was this child custody issue with the other side of the family. Hey, Tori, it's nice to see you, love. Welcome. CPS took her son. Anyone know anything? I heard she had a daughter named Destiny that was taken from her. Hey, Wild Wolf, it's nice to see you. In my history, we've had to keep a couple of kids away from the extended family, to keep them away from their, exactly. This one's a little bit different because this one has a deceased individual in it, and it sounds like a family that's clutching on to that deceased individual by way of wanting their child. I'm sorry, but whenever I see a situation, look, I'm all about, if a child's in danger and needs to be removed from the home, you know me. I'm all about removing a child from a home and praying to God that there's somebody in that child's family that would want to take care of that child. You guys know, you guys watched me for years. I'm pretty direct on that point. But I also believe that there are families that struggle, that need resources, that life would be so much better if they just had a little additional resources, a hand out and a hand up, so to speak, versus having a child become a dependent of the state. I'm very, very much concerned about tax funds and the best interest for the child. Moreover, the best interest of the child than the tax funds, because the children need to be thriving. If they're going through a bad time, they need to be removed from the bad situation, put in a better situation, put in a situation that gives them the ability to thrive and hopefully end that cycle in their family. And sometimes we are very, very successful at that, and sometimes we're not. The removal of the child causes more damage to that child than leaving that child in that environment. And that's a situation that many people do not want to address either. In a situation like this, where the mother had a child, 6 months after she had a child, that child's father lost his life. Whether they were together or not, that had to put a major strain on that woman. It had to have, okay? No matter how you look at it, even if they hated each other at this point, they still loved each other enough to make a child at some point. That's still going to weigh on anybody's heart and mind and soul. I don't think that was the case. I think that at the time he lost his life, they did have a decent relationship. And I think she broke down. I think that this woman, it doesn't seem like she was a floozy. It doesn't seem like she's had a revolving door on her home of guys. So I have to think that this affected her a lot, because if it didn't affect her a lot, she would have another man living in the house. She would have went on with her life. It doesn't look like this young lady has gone on with her life from everything I can see. It seems like she stopped her life and focused predominantly on her daughter and keeping her daughter safe and away from people that were trying to take her daughter away from her. And I think that that's where all of the so-called mental illness is in play, because she was so overly protective of that relationship with her daughter that I think it posed itself. And maybe in part it was partially something to do with maybe mental health, right? When somebody goes through PTSD is mental health, no. But we don't take children away from fathers that come back from the military that have PTSD, that are really concerned about their children, that are hover fathers, that get, have some outbursts or whatever. We're not even seeing like violent or verbal aggressive outbursts from Ashlee. We haven't even heard any of these things about Ashlee. Like everything that we're used to finding in a abusive situation with a child, we're not seeing in this case. The only thing that we're seeing in this particular case is a major custody issue with the in-laws, with Ashlee, and a potential truancy issue for the last 2 weeks. Of all these years that Ashlee has had this child, the last 2 weeks the child's had truancy issues, or the last 2 months rather. Let me get that correct. It's not 2 weeks, 2 months. And then when you look at it, you realize, wait a minute, it's a paperwork issue. This was all over a paperwork issue. This is all over, Ashlee forgot to sign an affidavit, it appears. And she knew that when they started knocking on her door and sending her letters, which she has never received in years and years and years, she knew something wasn't right. Her gut instinct, her PTSD kicked in, and she knew she needed to get her child out of Dodge. I believe this child's with somebody. I believe that we're playing word salad. Here's why I think we're playing word salad here, is because when you go to the, why is this not up? Hold on, let me find it. Okay, this must be it. When you go to the press release that they did on November 3rd, which identified this new path of travel that's above my head, and the photo, the grainy photo of mom, which we did clean up a little bit. She's wearing a wig. Her daughter's wearing a wig. Clearly, they're trying to alter their identity. She changed the license plate. This is absolutely, I agree. I've never disputed that this woman was trying to get her daughter out of the state of California. I've never disputed that this woman's trying to hide her daughter out of the state of California. And everything that she's done is supporting my claims that I made weeks ago, a week and a half or so ago, when we started realizing something wasn't right with this case. We'll have to go back and find out when that was, but I think it was maybe a week and a half ago, when I started realizing this is not our normal stuff. So here's what it says. It says, detectives have now confirmed that Melodee was last seen along the return route via surveillance camera on October 9th, 2025. Now, this statement here, if this was true, if she was on the return route, we might have a problem. Because she lived in Iowa. She was heading toward Iowa. She went to Nebraska. We heard somebody saw this child at the Walmart at Nebraska. And now we're hearing from law enforcement that they say detectives have now confirmed that Melodee was last seen along the return route. That means that they went to Nebraska, she went into Kansas, and she did a return route, and she came back. Everybody believes that this mother has killed her child. All the professionals believe that this mother has either killed her child or sold her child. No evidence to support either one of those claims. No indication, like in Summer Wells, we know we had past behavior to help identify a lot of the beliefs that we have in the Summer Wells factual information. We don't have that factual history about this woman. The only factual history we have about this woman is that she gave birth to this child in 2016, and within 5 or 6 months after the birth of this child, her significant other died, okay, on a motorcycle wreck, leaving her a single mom with a brand new baby all by herself. We hear at some point, it sounds like a year or two later, she may have had a mental breakdown. And the family tried to make a grab at her daughter. Instead of trying to find ways to support the family and keep this child with her mother after she already lost her father, the father side of the family decides, oh no, we're going to adopt her. We're going to take her away from mom. We're just going to take her away from mom. Okay? Well, that didn't work. And now that caused a rift in the family. And now Ashlee wants them to see the daughter. Not at all. She went to go see him on a holiday. She walked in there. She was there for a few minutes. She said she couldn't do this. She grabbed her child, walked out. She never came back again. She was done. That's what told me she was done with the family. She doesn't want to see them. She hates them. She hates them. And what would make a mom hate a family that much? Well, I would think taking her daughter would make her hate them that much. So that's where I've put those puzzle pieces together in the history of why this family hasn't seen this child in 4 years. It's because of what they did. And quite frankly, as an outsider, it enrages me that a family that lost their own member would do this to their own family member, their grandchild, and want to take this grandchild away from their only parent. Their only parent. I don't know where in anybody's mind that thinks that is a good decision. If this mother was beating her, starving her, hurting her, something like that, yes, all day long, remove her from the home. But we don't remove children from the home because mommies struggle, okay? We just don't do that. We're a little more humane than to do that. But if she's coming back along on the return route, which again, they're playing with these maps. I don't like when law enforcement's toys with us. Okay, I don't. It enrages me. When law enforcement is the one playing the games. Like, I understand that there's certain... You're talking about telling the whole world. Let me just break this down for you guys. Law enforcement is telling the whole world that they believe this child is sold or dead. And they're playing games with the root. If you want us to help, and you want the public's insight, put the fucking map out. For the Christ's sakes. Give us the blessed route that they traveled. Quit nickeling and diming the freaking people. Oh, this is part of our investigation. Yeah, well, the child may be alive, and because you guys are pussyfooting around with the information, she may die. If we want to turn this and flip this back on the flipping investigators, this child's life is in danger, and you're pussyfooting around with the freaking maps. Like, no endangered child alert. No Amber Alert, no nothing. And still toying with us with these stupid maps. And then telling us this woman, she's on the return route, implying that she had to have killed her child. Yet they're still playing with the maps. You notice we still have yet to see one map in Kansas or Nebraska. They're giving us California, Nevada, and Utah. We have confirmed Melodee was last seen along the route. Listen to this. This is the word salad. The detectives have confirmed that Melodee was along the return route via surveillance on October 9th, 2025, in a region between Colorado-Utah border. Investigators are working to fill the gaps in the timeline. What timeline? We haven't even gotten a timeline. Let's see if we have an updated timeline for where her movements have been. Maybe we're going to have to prepare one, and I hate preparing timelines. So, Melodee Buzzard movement timeline. Do I have somebody that knows how to prepare timelines, like in Word Doc or whatever program does the beautiful timelines? Does somebody know how to do that? If you know how to do that, can you guys reach out to me at bullhornbetty@gmail.com? I need to use you. I need to find out some, we need to put this stuff in the trip. Put all these map spots in the trip and just put a timeline on the flipping map so we can see where she was, where she went, what was going on. Since law enforcement wants to keep screwing with us, I need information. I mean, if we're going based upon law enforcement, oh my God, this child's in danger. She could be dead, and they're monkey effing around with maps. They're not giving us, they didn't even tell us what area in Nebraska. We're still 30 days out, still have no area or trajectory that they went in Nebraska. It's like now all of a sudden they were focusing on Nebraska and Kansas. Now all of a sudden they don't want to focus on Nebraska and Kansas. Nebraska and Kansas, Nebraska and Kansas, Nebraska and Kansas, Nebraska and Kansas. Then it's like, let's look down here where they started the trip. Let's look at California, Nevada, and Utah. California, Nevada, and Utah. Well, we've been talking about Nebraska and Kansas for a freaking month. Now all of a sudden it's Colorado and Utah. Where's the maps for Nebraska? Where's the maps to Nebraska? So here's what we have. We have investigators have now released new details regarding the ongoing search of 9-year-old Melodee Buzzard, who was last seen, now they're changing the time, on October 9th with her mother. Okay, again, with her mother. I don't think this mother would have. If this mother was going to kill this child, she would have killed her a long time ago. Okay, period. She just would have. What? Why now? It makes no damn sense. I don't like things that make no damn sense. Oh, well, she's mentally ill. Well, look at her, okay? She obviously knows how to rent a car. She obviously knows how to drive a car. She obviously has lived in her house for years. She might be pinching pennies and not quite getting it made, but she knows how to pay bills. She knows how to keep a child alive. I mean, I am seeing a child behind her, right? And that child's breathing. The child's moving right behind her. I don't think law enforcement knows what they're doing. I don't either. I think, well, what I think it is they got their, this is what I really think happened. I think this was all, this is just my opinion. I don't know if this is true or not, but this is what I see happening. I think somebody got a call and it's like, where is this child? You know, I'm not, we're doing an audit of the system or whatever. And they're looking and they're like, oh my gosh, we haven't seen this child in a year. So they start, going out and, doing, sending out paperwork. Oh my gosh, we haven't seen you in a year. And I think it was a different school for some reason. I don't know. I feel like it's not the same school because, anyway, she went into a school in August and signed her daughter up for continue her homeschooling. It sounds like a year prior to she removed this child from the school. So technically, the school hadn't seen the child up until August, and then in August, this child came in to reestablish the homeschooling. And there was something, and I never understood the importance of this affidavit. They kept bringing up this stupid affidavit that needed to be signed by the parent, okay? And this, I kept thinking, they keep bringing up this affidavit. I kept dismissing it, but I remember in the back of my head, I said, I remember telling myself, this affidavit's going to be important at some point, because why are they bringing up this affidavit? Who gives a shit, right? That's just my thought. So because I'm like, why are they bringing this up? Who really cares? It must be something that's going to happen, that we're going to be circling back to. That's the way I looked at it. So I knew that there was a reason why we were going to be circling back to that August 2025 date. And this affidavit. And sure enough, that's what it comes down to. They're saying that this child hasn't completed any assignments in 2 months. Well, 2 months ago, they were in the office signing up for, homeschooling. So, and they kept bringing up this affidavit and how if this affidavit isn't signed, you can't really start your homeschooling. And so then it clicked for me. Okay, so now we have a paperwork issue. Mom forgot to sign this affidavit. Therefore, they didn't start this homeschooling. Therefore, it shows this child being truancy. Ta-da! There's the proverbial she hasn't been seen by the school light that went off on top of my head. Okay, so now we explain that. So they thought that they didn't see this child in a year. Then they realized, oh, she did come in to do the paperwork. She just forgot to send in the affidavit. That happened 2 months ago. Then they came out and told us, oh, the school saw her August of 2025. Then, like a day later, we're like, oh, okay, well, now she's been seen by, now we see that she's been seen on camera at the rental car store, which is what I had anticipated when I said that it took me a while, like, did she confirm? And then I said, oh, you know what it is? I guarantee how we have this confirmed sighting of her on the 7th is because of the rental car company. And like a day or two later of me making that assessment, the first photo just of the child comes out. So then I was still hook, line, and sinker. Oh my gosh, here's the child. We need to find this child. We need to find this child. And then something just popped on the top of my head. It's like, wait a minute. This whole story has changed from what it was at the beginning. Everything that we were told by law enforcement has been panned out not to be true. And they're still looking, and now they're tearing this woman's house apart. What do they know that I don't know? Like, I feel like I'm seeing something that nobody else is seeing, and even my own mentality, like my common sense is telling me I have to be missing something and I have to be wrong about something. My common sense is telling me that. And I keep going back and I keep thinking, no, it's not. There's something not right here. There's something not right here. And maybe I might be the only one seeing it now, but you know what? Before I was talking about anything, I was the first one talking about this woman hiding her child. And now, a few days after me talking about how this woman is hiding her child from the state, lo and behold, we get news and a notification from the investigators that she's changing license plate and hiding her child from the state. And so everything that I've been analyzing, it is starting to be supported by the statements of law enforcement. And I'm waiting for more information, but what's got me twisted is if everything I'm saying is accurate, there's no possibility Melodee would be with her on the ride back. Okay? Do you guys understand that? If everything I am finding out to be true, that means Melodee could not possibly be on the ride back. So either law enforcement is deceiving us, right, and saying that she was observed on the return. They specifically said the return trip. If they're either one, specifically deceiving us about that, or there's something more nefarious going on here. Now, everything I've seen in this... Sorry, guys. Hopefully you guys can hear me. I'm going to have to go. My best friend's in the hospital. That I told you guys how I didn't go over there this weekend and how things are really, really bad. Well, she ended up going into the hospital and they admitted her last night. It looks really, really, really bad. It's all like she's got a huge abscess in her mouth. And she went to the doctor. They gave her antibiotics and they told her if it's not down within 24 hours, she's got to go in the hospital. So yesterday she called me from the hospital, but she was still in the ER and they had just brought her back to her room that morning. And anyways, guys, give me just a second. Let me call her back. Let me just you sit tight with me and we'll finish up our conversation. Let me call her back real quick. Thank you guys for sticking around. So it sounds like some of the infection has gone down in it, so now they can look at the root cause. It looks like she's probably going to have oral surgery as an emergency because it's that bad. So we'll see. We'll see. I'll keep you guys posted. As soon as I'm done with this live, I'm going to be getting dressed and heading up there to see her. And then I'll let you guys know what her prognosis and status is. So getting back to this, obviously if she is on the drive back, that then I'm a little more concerned about this scenario. I'm still not in Colorado. She does have friends in Colorado. She has family in Colorado, distant relatives in Colorado. So it's still not anything that's going to spark, we talked about it. We went through the history and the family members, and I told you, because there's a Buzzard side of the family that had people in Colorado, and then the Miranda side of the family had people in Nebraska, and I believe there was actually a couple people maybe from New Mexico or Texas as well. I don't know. But I don't think that she'd be able to do all of this without some type of contact or communication, unless she just drove up to a family's house and just knocked on their door and said, hey, I need your help, which I just don't believe would be the case, because they would be able to see the car going to that particular house. They do have her path of travel. If they have this, they know where she went. Okay, if they have this, they know where she went. Okay, there's no, the idea that a month the FBI doesn't have a good route she took. I don't believe it. Okay, we know we are very smart. We watch this stuff go on every single day of our life. This is all we do. And this idea that law enforcement is playing this peekaboo dance, it seems like they're playing a game. It doesn't seem like Ashlee's playing a game. You know what Ashlee did? Ashlee, something was going on. Ashlee felt something was going on. She got her child out of Dodge, whether we agree with it or not agree with it. That's what happened. And it sounds like everybody blew this out of proportion, that this child was allegedly missing for a year, and come to find out this child wasn't missing for a year. What ended up happening is the aggressiveness of the school spooked the mom. The mom ended up realizing she needed to get her child out of Dodge. She got her child out of Dodge. I don't believe this child is sold. In order to sell the child, there would be a litany of data. Okay, you can't do this. If you look at how are all these people busted, because of the communication, online communication. You can't do this stuff without communicating with people. Okay? There's only certain ways you can communicate with people. Okay? So this is not as difficult as people are trying to make it be. They're trying to confuse people and make it more difficult than it is. This woman is absolutely trying to hide her child from the state. And quite frankly, I no matter how I'm trying to, you know me and child abuse, no matter how I'm trying to justify this, I can't. This woman should not be in this position. She should have had enough resources. They should just tell her, look, we don't want to take your child. Give her something signed saying you're not trying to take her child. Let her produce her child and be done with it. But they're too busy playing the games. And I don't like it. And I don't like feeling like being a pawn. And you know what? Court TV may be all about the clicks and the views. Oh my gosh, where could she have gone? Oh my gosh, instead of talking to people and telling people what they found in their investigative report, you cannot tell me that Court TV, Nancy Grace, and all these people do not see this glaring Lee Street, Marshalltown, Iowa in this lady's background. You cannot tell me that they have not sent out people to that area to confirm that this lady lived there. And if they haven't, well, then they're not doing very good, in my opinion, research. They're parroting what law enforcement wants them to parrot. And I understand that law enforcement does utilize mainstream media to help with their investigations. We've seen it before. They've lied to mainstream media. They've had mainstream media lie to the public. The Green River Killer, a good example. They try to lie, hide, and deceive as much as they can. And they use people like mainstream media. They can even use, and I've seen them use social media too, like the behavior panel. I truly believe the behavior panel was paid to give that horrific review of Chris and Katie Proudfoot, because I took Chase Hughes' program, and I'm telling you, what he was saying that day was in polar opposite of what I was taught. And, it just, to me, it just seems like, some people are willing to play the game. I don't know if it came down to me helping law enforcement and helping a case and helping a child, I would lie. If they asked me to lie, I guess I would too. At the end of the day, for the children, I'd do just about anything for a child victim. So, but at the end of the day, we need to have somebody that we can rely on, And I was kind of hopeful that, Court TV, of all people, attorneys or even law and crime would bring up these glaring issues. I don't expect law enforcement like Jennifer Coffindaffer, because they don't care about the law when it comes to children. They don't care about stepping on people's rights or violating people's rights. They have protocols and procedures, and they'll work it out in court. At the end of the day, their only objective is to find the child, no matter what, right? Our objective here is to make sure everybody follows the law and utilizes the law the way it's intended. And the way I'm seeing this is that they're abusing their positions and power, because this lady will not cooperate with them. But they haven't produced reasons that she is required to cooperate. Oh, well, her child is missing. I cannot believe she's not willing to help with her child. She was the last one with her child. She's the one that took her child wherever her child is. Her child is not missing in her world. So let's quit playing stupid games with people. I don't like the mental bullshit. This is what they do in politics. I don't like it, and I don't like it coming from the true crime genre. You know, we can be honest and say, hey, we need to find this child. They're violating this woman's rights, but we need to find this child and make sure this child's healthy, and then we'll deal with everything later. What I'm so concerned about is this has gotten so big, no matter what, law enforcement is going to have to take that child, right? Because they've blown this case so big that they're going to have to take that child from this. They don't care about this child's well-being. They only care about their reputation at this point. And I'm sorry. I'm not going to get on board with this. They have not justified in good faith why they are tearing this woman's life apart. They haven't. She is the sole. This is what people don't understand. She is the sole. She's the sole. Yeah, get her out. Who the hell is that? Have a great day. I wish you weren't such a dirtbag, you know. But you want to be a dirtbag, change it. We're going to be going to 5 days. If we can't get if you trolls don't know how to handle yourself and act like adults, I'll force you to be an adult. I'll put you in the fucking corner. I'll spank your little ass. Bullhorn Betty style. So enjoy the fact that you can come here and speak. But if you're going to come here and disrupt, I will remove you. I will change that. And you guys will not, you'll sit around and twiddle your thumbs watching me and not being able to speak. Just saying. Authorities are confirming that the white sedan carrying the missing girl and her mother, Ashlee, had its plates deliberately switched. It sounds like somebody that's avoiding. I've never, since I came to the analysis, what have I told you? She's trying to hide her child. I absolutely called this. She's absolutely trying to hide her child. And they're trying to turn this all into, instead of this being a custody issue between her and the state, they're trying to imply that this woman has sold her child or killed her child. I'm still not convinced. This is one case. I might be wrong. You know what? I could be just wrong. I could just, I don't know. You guys might be watching me, say this stuff about a child, that ends up not being true, that this child truly is in harm's way and deceased and her mother did it, I mean, there is that. Her mother could have done it. But there's just a piece of me, the logical part of my brain, that tells me that if her mom wanted her dead, she would have done it a long time ago. What was stopping her? Right? What was stopping her? She was at home with that child every single day by herself. So what was stopping her? Why now? Hey, YouTuber, it's nice to see you. It's me, Jen. Good morning, love bug. Pre-order now. A Whack-A-Troll shirt. I wish I had my music. Oh, I can. Ooh, I can't. Oh, I can play it. That's right. Ooh, Whack-A-Troll. Whack-A-Troll. Do I have a whack? Oh, I'm on the wrong computer. Am I on the wrong computer? Do I have Whack-A-Troll? Whack-A-Troll. Are you anywhere on my computer? Ooh, it's on my TikTok. 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 What, you're not? Ew. How the hell did I still have? I hate Microsoft Edge. I don't know why I hate it. I don't like it. It's not, doesn't even function the same. What was I doing? Whack-A-Troll. Oh, TikTok. Tiki-Tock. Tiki-Tock. Let's do my Whack-A-Troll. Dun, 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 dun. Come on. I know you're in here somewhere. I know you're in here somewhere, I think. How long ago did I do that? It was a while, wasn't it? I guess it was a long time ago. Longer than I thought it was. Come on, where's my whack-a-troll? Betty's Day Out. Dun, 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 dun. Oh, maybe. I think I put it on here. Maybe I didn't. I did. Here it is. I found it. There we go. Took me a little while, but I got it. Now it's thinking. So, there we go. Sneaky gremlins love to fight, but we're here to set it right. Jump and duck, let's take a shot. Turning trolls into what they're not. Whack-a-troll, whack-a-troll. Let 'em roll. Swing your spatula or stick. Whack 'em fast, whack 'em quick. Whack 'em fast, whack 'em quick. Why are they attacking this one? Oh, they attack me all the time. They don't like me because I go. They don't like that I just don't give a shit about them. They don't like the fact that they don't control me. They don't like the fact that I don't listen to them. And they don't like the fact that I show up to people's houses and protest. And I do that often. I haven't done it in 2 years because I've been dealing with court battles. But after the court battles are over, I'd watch the fuck out. I might go show up at some of those hate channels' houses with a big old platform. Bring the shit show right to their front door. Anti-bullying campaign. You never know what I'm up to. I got plans, baby. Better watch out. Can't keep old girl down too long. Okay? Time's a ticking. All you're doing is stopping the inevitable. Just letting you know. Just stopping the inevitable. They know when I come back, I'm coming up swinging. But we'll do it the right way. BH Biz, give your best friend love. Aw, thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, I'm glad she's, in all fairness, I'll be honest with you, when I started seeing it, the first thing I thought of, because she's had cancer, ever since I've known her. She's had mouth cancer. She's had to have, a portion of her nose taken off, and, she's had some skin stuff. She's been, ever since I've known her for the last 20 years, she's been in and out of oncology appointments. So when I saw that big lump on the side of her neck, naturally, I'm thinking cancer. So it being an abscess, I'm good with. In all fairness, that's good news. That's just an abscess. Screw you, cancer. We can deal with this. We can deal with this. So we'll see. But yeah, poor girl sending prayers. Yeah, she's well, and she was just telling me, she's like, if you can get in, I'm like, I don't care where don't tell me I can't get in. I can get into anywhere. Okay, I'm Bullhorn Betty. You either get me in or I'm protesting. I don't care. We can do this the easy way or the hard way. I don't really care. But anyways, she was like, yeah, my brother came all the way up here or down here. And I'm like, well, he probably came after visitation. She's like, even Deb went to went through the emergency room to get him up here. And she ended up getting locked out. So I ended up having to be here all by myself last night. I'm like, oh, good gracious. I feel bad for her. But you know what? That's bull. I mean, hospitals are hospitals. Really, why all the regulations? If you got a child, I can understand the children, but the adults, cut it out. Anyways, but I'm going to go up and visit with her and see how that all went out. But you guys know how I feel. And not only that, but look at this case here. Okay, this is out of Florida. I want you guys to go and this is the Griffith case. Griffeth, okay? This is a family that all the charges, the mom, the dad, brother, and sister, all arrested. Okay? Thrown in jail, have been in jail this entire time, and then they decide to drop all the charges and say that this was salacious gossip. You would have thought that somebody, a detective, especially here in Florida, would take the report and do the investigation and find that it was salacious gossip before they threw 4 people in jail and called them arists and slave owners and, horrible names that were splattered all across the news. And what was wrong? Oh, that's right. Law enforcement made a mistake. And 4 people went to jail and had their entire reputation. Two youngsters just starting out in life, the brother and the sister, now tagged and flagged for the rest of their life. No matter who does a background check, will always see these type of charges in their history. This is justice for them, right? Oh, we dropped the charges. Have a great day. And they did it over salacious gossip. You would think that they would have done a proper investigation before the kefs even went on. And if that was the case, you would have thought that they would have given them at least a decent bail so they could get out instead of being in jail the entire time over salacious gossip. So the people out there that says, oh, you can't go to jail, unless you've done something. No, clearly you can go to jail for salacious gossip. And so why am I telling you this story? Well, this was kind of, brought to me with a bow, because we were talking about the Melodee Buzzard case, and then boom, the Griffith family has been released and all charges have been dropped against them. And then we hear it's over salacious gossip. And then I keep sitting there thinking, this law enforcement body went into their house, tore their whole entire home up, threw them in jail, plastered their face and these horrible allegations all over the news, and then we find out it's salacious gossip. And so I look over here at Melodee's case, and I'm like, this idea that law enforcement has a right to do this, and I appreciate, Jennifer Coffindaffer, she's on this law enforcement, but as law enforcement, you guys see, off the cuff and stupid Duty Ron, right? They don't give a shit about First Amendment rights. They don't give a shit about constitutional protections for freedom of speech or freedom of press. They don't care about those rights. They don't care about violating constitutional rights. You think Duty Ron and off the cuff care? You've heard them more times than not saying how they've ran off news reporters and how they're so proud of it. They're so proud of violating somebody's rights. And you see that over and over again. And I'm sorry, that happens with law enforcement all the time. And why law enforcement gets a bad rap? It's because they have a mission. Their mission is to find a child. They have policies and procedures and guidelines that they're supposed to do this under. But if they just believe it, like everybody believes something happened to this child, so even though they don't have the rights to do it, they're going to keep pushing to find this child because the child's safety is more important than anybody's rights. And I'm sorry, I disagree with that philosophy. When we do investigations, I expect all law enforcement officers to follow the law to a T. If you don't have rights to ask for it or do it, don't do it. I don't care what you feel down in your gut. If you don't have a pathway to do it, don't do it. And don't be one of those people that create the pathway. Right? You want to do something so bad that you are going to create a pathway that's not there for you. That's going outside. That's coloring outside of the lines of the law. I don't like it. I don't like skirting the law. I don't like, making up the law. I don't like creating the law. I like following the law. The law is very, very clear in this matter. Very clear. And I wish Vinnie Politan and Julie Grant, for that matter, to speak about the law. It's what's taking so long. She should be locked up for what? Because a government official came to her door and told us to tell you where your child is. What right do they have? Why is nobody protecting this woman? There's a path forward to get the answers they want and do it lawfully and legally. And what I'm seeing in this case is they're doing this, but they're doing it outside of the confines in which they're allowed to do it. And nobody is speaking about that because it's a 9-year-old girl that this woman does not want anyone to know where she's at. I don't know why I feel so strongly about this case the way I do, but clearly there is something in this case that has me this strong that I feel confident that this child is not in danger. And I would just like law enforcement to express to me how in the world they had probable cause to go into this woman's house and tear her house up. Where? She has broke no criminal laws. If she has, tell us what laws she has broke criminally. She has broke no civil laws. If so, tell me what civil laws she has broken. Her telling law enforcement, I'm not telling you where my child is her right, folks. It's her right. She has a right to tell those law enforcement officers and that court to get bent. She has a right. I don't care how suspicious her actions were. Changing the plates, putting her child in a wig, being in a wig herself. Those are not crimes. People are like, well, it's suspicious. So what? I say it's suspicious all day long. I acknowledge this woman took her child out of the state to hide her child from officials. So I expect her to do things like change plates. I expect her to put a wig on. I expect her to try to avoid detection. This would bode right into my theory of this case. My theory of this case has been spot on, and law enforcement is corroborating some of those points. They're just presenting those points as their probable cause to be doing what they're doing, and I'm still saying they have no probable cause. The reason why this lady is not in jail is because they have no reasons to arrest her. She does not have to tell government shit. We're in America, okay? We're not in a third world country, and our government doesn't get to knock on our door and tell us what to do, where to go, or what we can say, or how we can act. That is maybe another country, but that is not here in America. In America, we have rights to do a whole bunch of stuff that our government can't tell us one iota of what we can and cannot do. And this is one of those such cases. This woman's broken no laws. Even if this child, this is what I'm trying to say, even if this child did willfully and intentionally not do work and is truly truant for 2 months, it's still not a crime in the state of California. Okay? No matter how we feel about it, I don't like it, right? I'm not saying it's right. But I do understand how it happened. It sounds like it was a paperwork issue. It sounds like it comes down to a single affidavit that was failed to be signed by the mother, Ashlee Buzzard. That's what it sounds like to me. But again, the new revelations, if true, and I've got to say that because I don't trust law enforcement, not anymore. Like I came in here trusting law enforcement. I was like, okay, I got a good connection with Raquel Zick. I can send some information. I didn't expect to get a whole lot out because it's not my first rodeo, so I know how law enforcement works. And I asked her even about, because I was on the same vein as, this child was missing for a year, where could she be? I saw drywall that looked fairly new. I figured she was in the drywall, right? Everybody can make those assessments when we're told to think this way, and then we come to find out the way we were told to think is not accurate. I just feel bad for this whole situation. There's not going to be any winners here. At the end of the day, I have a funny feeling we're going to keep pushing and pushing and pushing until they arrest Ashlee up or produce the child. I think she'll ultimately produce the child. I don't think she wants to go to jail, and I don't think anything's wrong with the child. But she's going to have an uphill battle, and I feel bad because I don't think she should have her child taken away. And I know that's exactly what law enforcement is trying to do right now, is take her child away from her. And I'm not gonna condone that. I'm not gonna get on board with that. They do not have any business being in this family. There has to be probable cause. They had probable cause up until October 7th when they saw that child was happy and healthy. Their probable cause ended. But they didn't like the fact that this woman's trying to hide her child from the government. And so they have changed the narrative of this case. And they have pushed this case in a completely different direction than the direction it should be in. I'm not going to get off that. And Court TV can say whatever the hell they want to say. Julie Grant can say whatever the hell she wants to. Anybody can say whatever the hell they want to say. I'm just going to say, look at the facts. Look at the facts. Look at the facts of the case. Tell me I'm wrong. And why? Again, are they withholding the fact that she used to live in Iowa? They keep saying, we have no reason to believe. Why would she be going this way? Who does she know? Right? Not one time have they spoke about her property or her living in Marshalltown. Not once. And I find that problematic, because if you're going to go to the public and tell them the truth and try to elicit help from them, you would say, she was in Nebraska. We do know that she lived in Iowa at for a short time back in blah, blah, blah. But other than that, we don't see where she has any connections to the area. That's factual information that they failed to give. That would have changed a lot of people's minds on why this woman was out in that area. Don't you think? Like, if she used to live in Iowa and we see that she's, in Nebraska, I mean, you would put two and two together and say, okay, well, this makes sense. She's been here before. We just want the truth. That's exactly it. We just want the truth. I'm seeking the truth too, but clearly we're not going to get it from the Santa Barbara Police Department or County Sheriff. Sorry. I don't know. I'm not. I just feel like they're trying to. This is what I feel like. I feel like their presentation is up here. Like, this child is in danger. She's going to be dead if we can't find her. Yet their actions and what they're putting out for help from the public is way down here. Like they're playing the game. Like, they're wanting us to believe this, but they're only producing all this stuff way down here. They're not showing the urgency to the public that they truly are concerned for this child's well-being. And that's what leads me to believe that they also believe that this child is being hidden from them. I don't know why Court TV is embellishing the facts. Oh, hey, Army Vet, it's nice to see you. I hope you're doing well today. I don't know why they're embellishing the facts, and maybe they're not. Maybe I'm off base on this case. I just don't, I keep going back to this under that preface that I'm off base, that I'm just missing something. I keep going back and I keep looking, I keep going back and I keep looking. I keep listening to where we were at the beginning and where we are now. And I'm just not feeling it. I'm really just not. Something's not right here. I'm going to keep saying that until, more. I mean, to be honest with you, I was shocked that they put out the statement that they did, because with the license plate changes, it corroborates and supports, my theory very much. And let's be honest, when I started coming up with this theory, let's be honest, you guys were like, okay, Betty's lost it, right? Betty's lost it. She's completely lost it. The law enforcement seeing this thing, but now we're hearing more, and it's like, okay, well, it sounds like I'm hitting the right stuff, because now they're talking about changing license plate, and that could be premeditated. Like, people are using that as she'd made the decision to off her kid. So the theory, it seems like, being painted from law enforcement is and social media, and mainstream media rather, is that she planned to kill her child. Okay. She planned to kill her child, so she rented the car to take her child halfway across the country and, I guess, shove her off a ledge over an embankment. I don't know. And my thing is, if she went through all this planning to unalive her child, then why is she all over the place, going through Las Vegas, going through Colorado, going through Utah, going through Nebraska and Kansas? Well, why wouldn't she have a specific place where she knew she was going to do this? She drives there, does the stuff, drives back, turns the car back in, and is done with it. Like, why? Why don't we see that? Right? A very specific drive to a specific place, turn around, come home. If it's so premeditated and so planned out, then the location where she was going to hurt her daughter, take her daughter's life, should have been known. No? She should have drove. We should see a trajectory of going straight there and straight back. But that could also be dropping her daughter off as well. But that's not what they're saying. They're basically saying she drove here. She was aimlessly driving. Like, this is basically the new narrative. She's aimlessly driving, right? She goes up to Nebraska. She decides, okay, Nebraska's not the place I want. Let me go over here to Kansas. Nope, this is not the place I want. Oh, no, here it is. Green River, Utah. Let's find an embankment. All right, love you, Melodee. Poop. Right? Now it's time for me to go home and act like nothing happened. These details don't go with this case. They just don't. It's like we're forcing the puzzle pieces together when we start looking at it like that. I feel. I don't know. I don't know. I might be wrong. Maybe I'm just missing it. When my grand stayed with us for a few weeks, we don't have guardianship paperwork, just temporary medical power of attorney. Yeah. And she may have said, yeah, and I never thought about that either. But I feel like she was, just think about it. If you're living in a home for 2 years, which they've lived in that house for 2 years, you don't have anybody come by, you don't have anybody knocking on your door, and then all of a sudden your phone starts ringing, your email starts getting full, and you start getting knocks at the door. I mean, the only time that's happened once before was when they took her child once before. So I think she felt like they must have found her and she needed to get her child out. And by they must have found her, I mean Rubiel's family. Okay? Now we're starting to hear about why she said those things at the door when the half-sister came up there where she said, we've been trying to find you, and we heard that the comment was, there's a reason why we didn't tell you guys where we were, right? So she's saying there's a reason. There's a reason. I don't know. I just feel like if she wanted to unalive this kid, she would have done it years ago. Nobody was messing with her in her crawl years ago, all the way up until just recently. And as a matter of fact, like we said, this child was allegedly missing for a year before all of this happened, and that wasn't true. She was only missing for a week. And it's like, that's not even enough to raise anything, a week. It went from a year to this child being with her mother where she was supposed to be a week before. We were lied to by law enforcement, and I want to know why. Intentionally. I believe law enforcement intentionally and willfully lied to us. I believe that they wanted to make this case a little more noticeable, and they didn't expect it to go viral like it did. And now they're in a pickle of a situation, in my opinion. I really truly believe law enforcement knows that they're in a pickle of a situation. They're going to have to shit or get off the pot because they can't keep playing this same routine. They're not going to find anything in that house because this woman was not abusing this child. So they're not going to find signs of abuse in this home. And this woman, in all fairness, has every right to tell the government to go bless themselves. Just saying. Daffy Dog. Crystal Pistol. Lori, relatives' care is totally different than guardianship. Yeah, I agree with that. Why did they do what did they do to her child before? Okay, so Tori, this is what happened. I don't know when all of this takes place because, again, they're not giving us a good timeline. So it sounds like all this stuff happened last week, but it didn't happen years and years and years ago. So Melodee was born in 2016. Her father, Rubiel Meza, died 6 months later in a motorcycle wreck. He was killed on a motorcycle. At some point from that time to, I think, when Melodee was maybe 2 or 3 years old, something happened where Ashlee had to go to the hospital. I think this is when she had a mental breakdown. And the family foster cared Melodee. Well, instead of trying to get work to try to give this child back to her mother, her only living family relative, like mom, like she had a mom and a dad. Dad's dead. This is the only other parent she has that's living. Instead of that family working to make sure that Ashlee had what she needed as part of the family to take care of her child, they decided to make a grab at taking the child out of her care totally. So they wanted to adopt Melodee. They did not want to provide resources to Ashlee. They did not want Ashlee to help Ashlee raise her child with herself. They wanted to take that child away from her. So when she got out, which we don't even know if this was a forced Baker Act. It might have been a forced Baker Act where people made stuff up or embellished stuff in an effort to get her Baker Acted to get that child in foster care. We don't know. And trust me, that happens every single day. I've seen it, you've seen it, you know it happens. However that situation was, it happened years ago. At least more than 4 years ago, because she's cut the family out for 4 years. And it could have even been longer than that. That's why I said around 2 or 3 years old, Ashlee could have been. She might have even been younger than that. I don't know. But either way, the family was cut out about 4 years ago after they tried to make a play to adopt her daughter. And they didn't just make a play to adopt her daughter. She got her child back. And they were still trying to fight her for custody of that child, to the point where she ran out of the state to save her child and not have to deal with the courts. And during that time, the Meza family tried to hunt her down. They hired a private investigator to hunt her down. So the only way she could alleviate herself from that was leaving the state. Otherwise, that PI would have kept hunting and hunting and hunting until they ultimately found her so they could serve her and try to take her child away from her again. That's the Meza family. Okay, let's not get it twisted here. So why wasn't, and this is what pisses me off. But it's not clicks and views to tell the truth, I guess, on even court TV anymore. So we understand why this child was out of that family's life for the last 4 years or 5 years. I think it's been more than 4 years, in all fairness. And then we come down to the fact that we're here. This case was blown up. We found out that this child has not been missing for a year, and this child is happy and healthy. Like, we can see that this child is of normal body weight. Okay? This child is not thin. This child does not look malnutritioned. This child has proper fitting shoes, proper fitting clothes. The clothes aren't too small or too big. The mom looks well kept. She's got nice shoes on, leggings. It looks like everybody is normal here. The only abnormal thing is they're running from the state. That's the only abnormal thing. I don't like California. I don't like California laws, and I don't like what they do to the children in California. And now, all of a sudden, this child. Why this child? There's something behind it. I'm sorry, there's just something behind it. And I think they're going to do everything they can to cover up whatever law enforcement did improperly in this case, because this case is too big. They're going to have to. They are trying to take this child away from this mother, and this mother has hidden her child. So that is this story. This is not a story of a child being essayed, sold, murdered. This is a mother that's fighting with the state of California to keep her child. That's what I truly believe, and I'm not getting off of it. And so far, everything that we've been getting from the county, Santa Barbara County Sheriff's Office, has supported that theory. Not went against the theory, supported that theory. And it seems like it's the news stations that's embellishing what they're hearing, in my opinion. I hope this child is okay. Again, these are just my theories. There's no guarantee that this child's alive. This woman may be a homicidal maniac and may have unalived her child. And that may very well be the case. And that may be something we're going to have to accept. But until I see something a little more than what I'm seeing, I'm not willing to accept it. Because the way I work is I like to know that when we do criminal investigations, we're above board. We don't violate people's rights. And what I'm seeing here is a whole bunch of violations and the court co-signing it. I'm not okay with that. I think that's the reason why this woman is not in jail. I think this is the reason why they have not been able to force this woman to speak. They do not have probable cause to do so. All of this is bullshit, in my opinion. I think they need to let this woman go. They found this child on the 10th. I think they need to, if they really want to see this child and see this child alive and healthy, give her a piece of paper that says, we are not trying to take your child out of your custody. And you will have a woman produce that child lickety split. If you want to quit playing games, Santa Barbara, right? Because the only reason why she did this is to make sure you kept your grubby hands off her kid. So if you want to know where this child is, give this woman a letter, some type of guarantee that you ain't making a dig at her child, right? Have this child brought up on FaceTime where you can't bring her back into your jurisdiction, because I'm not going to say that that's going to be kosher. I would not bring this child back to the jurisdiction of California, ever. Ever. So I would just give her the piece of paper. If she does not produce this child after the guarantee that you're not trying to take this child by Facebook or whatever, a legal document. Amen, Lisa. A legal, law-abiding document. Give her an attorney, her own attorney, and let's get this thing done, and let's close this case and make sure that this child gets back into school. Enough with the bullshit. Enough with the bullshit. Nobody's buying this. Well, mainstream media is selling it, but I'm sorry, people don't go to mainstream media for the truth. They come to social media. And that's where we live. So let's go ahead and figure this out. Give her the piece of paper. If Santa Barbara and the FBI are only concerned about the well-being of this child, give this lady a piece of paper that you're not trying to steal her child away from her and let her produce that child so you can see this child's healthy. That's how you do it. Hey, River. Oh, sent me a pumpkin head. A pumpkin head. Thank you. I love the pumpkin. I love the pumpkin. Thank you, River. It's nice to see you, love bug. But we're here for the truth, right? We want to know that this child's okay. And right now, we're in limbo. We don't know if this child's okay. We assume that this child's okay. We pray to God that my analysis is right. Trust me, we're praying and hoping and begging and pleading that my analysis is spot on, because that means this child is alive. But there is that horrible other side to this, where this child truly is, that I got it wrong, that I'm not seeing what law enforcement is seeing, and this child is truly, in a culvert somewhere, waiting to be found, and how horrible that would be. But for whatever reason, I see something in this mother. I see something in Ashlee that I think people have missed for a really long time. And that is a woman that has struggled to keep it together for years. Okay? And I don't see a woman that struggled to keep it together for years giving up now. Okay? So there's just something I see in this lady that doesn't ring murderer to me. But we have to also go back to the drawing board. The only other time outside of Travis Decker that I felt this way was with Jennifer Soto. If we were being honest, remember, I wasn't willing to accuse that mother of anything, and it's because of my Paola Miranda case that I did. Oh, tugs on heartstrings. It's nice to see you. Maya let me look up Maya. Hold on. Maya, see what this case was about. I missed this case. Or maybe I do remember it. I just don't recognize the name. A young woman whose story gained widespread attention due to her chronic pain condition and subsequent legal battle. Oh, the little girl. Yes, I remember she got that huge settlement. They just overturned that settlement under appeal, which is awful because they gave her, yes. Yep. Good point. Yes, I remember this case. Yep, Maya. I remember that. And didn't her mom, don't I remember in the Maya case, didn't her mom unalive herself because her daughter was in so much pain and she couldn't help? It was bad. What the doctors did. See, that's what I'm saying. Doctors and professionals, they think they have a right. That if they believe it, it has to be true, and they will exercise their authority, but they don't have any. At the end of the day, we have medical freedom in this country. That means we can choose what happens to us. Okay? No doctor should be able to force or go and get a court order to force us to take something or do something to our body. That is disgusting. That is disgusting. And our children, I don't give a rat's ass whether you agree with the parents. At the end of the day, children, this is not meant to sound heartless, but this is meant to be, we're a realistic channel here. So you guys are going to have to deal with reality. Children die every single day, okay? They do. From a lot of things, from homicides to accidents, right? Somebody accidentally turning and running into a car and hurting everybody inside that car. Babies and children, they die every single day, and we want to try to limit that as much as possible. But at the end of the day, we cannot, we're not a government state. We're not an authoritarian state. This is America. We have rights. If parents do not, for religious purposes, do not want to provide medication to their child and their child withers away, that's their religious right. Okay? Whether we agree with it or not. As hard as it is for us to watch or accept, at the end of the day, they have that right, whether we agree with it or not. We have religious freedoms in this country. We have parental rights in this country. We have a lot of things. Our government is allowed to intrude in our life if we do certain things. So far, I haven't heard this woman do those certain things. I haven't even heard them allege the certain things that allow them to intrude in this woman's life. They cannot prove negligence. They cannot prove abuse. They're having to go rip carpets out to even remotely try to produce or prove abuse. I mean, they're going so overboard to cover their ass, in my opinion, from the way I'm looking at this, that this is really horrible policing. And at some point, somebody's going to have to say, whoa, enough's enough. We can only violate this woman's rights so much before we've got to realize she has a right to tell us to get bent. She has a right to tell us that she's not going to tell us anything. She has that right until we can force her to do it. And the only way we can force her to do it is to either prove she's committed a crime or prove she's abused this child, neglected this child, or abandoned this child, which I don't think that they are going to be able to prove. And the only way they would be able to prove this is another 6 months, but they can't detain this woman 6 months. And I believe once she's able to move around freely and not be under surveillance, she's getting the fuck out of Dodge. Excuse my language. She's getting the heck out of Dodge. And she's going to be, wherever her daughter is. That's what I'm hoping and thinking. I do a lot of psychology, in my assessments. And I would assume so does law enforcement. So I would assume that these things that I'm saying are not, wild out of the realm possibilities, because they know what they're doing. Unfortunately for them, I'm very seasoned in this. I've got a lot of law enforcement friends. I've got people in the FBI, people in the CIA over the years with my political leanings. I've got, I know people, okay? So I have people I can speak to about certain things that will be honest with me. I can't bring up their names. I can't bring up what they told me. I can't bring up this. But they will be honest with me, and they trust the fact that I keep things confidential. And when I say that things don't seem right and there's a clear reason why I took a 180 in this thing, it's because I've been advised that something isn't right here, right? I can honestly tell you that I think I'm a smart person, but I'm not that smart. So I rely on conversations, and I rely on my sphere of influence and my network of people that help me, that have always helped me. And in this case, when they're saying, this doesn't sound right to them, that this needs to be done before this is done, and we're not seeing where this has been done before they do this, then we're starting to develop, a clear issue here with law enforcement. And so when I started seeing that being emboldened and empowered, then it came to the point where it's time for me to start, you know, putting and interjecting a different theory into the group. However, the one thing that's falling flat on this theory is this theory would be she was heading to Iowa. If this child was with the mother and can be confirmed with the mother on the way back, we're going to have a problem. Not necessarily if in Colorado. I'm still, you know, Colorado's still a good state. She might have went to Nebraska and driving around and couldn't find any of her family's homes, or, you know, knocked on some doors and realized her family's not there and tried to go to other families, because if she's trying to keep this under wraps, one of two things is happening. She's communicating on a third-party device that she doesn't intend to keep, or she's having to go directly to these people's houses without calling them or contacting them to see if they can help her out. So that's why it's super important for me to know the path of travel. It's super important for the public to know the path of travel, because they're asking the public for help. We can't provide help to law enforcement, or even in this case, if we don't know where they need videos and footage from. I like to believe that law enforcement is being accurate and truthful, but when I start seeing them wildly change their story in an effort to keep an investigation open and active, which is what I'm seeing here, I tend to have problems with all statements made. So that means we're going to have to fact find every single statement made from law enforcement. We can't take them as a legitimate source in this particular scenario. They should be. And we always want to, you know, speak about law enforcement. I'm giving you guys all the information law enforcement wants me to give you. I'm showing you guys the path of travel, right? Here's the path of travel. They want information of Green River. They have these little spots here. If you guys have been in these spots, you know, get those footage over. I'm showing you guys the photo of where mom and daughter is renting the car. I'm giving you guys all the information that law enforcement wants me to give you, so you guys have all the facts, okay? These facts are being interpreted differently to me than many people are seeing on, say, Court TV or News Nation or somebody else talking about this case at length. I think we're kind of in a position where we have to agree to disagree, because they're on channels that I respect and that do great work. So it's just going to be one of these things where they believe this child is dead. I believe this mother is on the run with the child, in part. She's clearly not on the run just yet, but she did get her child out of Dodge, and she did this once before. So we do have those factors on our side to help confirm that this child is still alive. And I'm going to be on that vein, which you guys know most of the time my assessments don't come back with this where the child's alive. We know almost immediately that the child is deceased, and we're going to have some problems in the case. We typically know that almost immediately when we start driving into the case. This one, we knew almost immediately that this case was different than the cases we've covered in the past. So I have to trust, I've got to trust myself. You know, if we do the same exact, research over and over again, if everything is going hunky-dory with all of our cases, and then as we're doing the research on this one, we're getting hooked up on this, we're getting hooked up on that, then that's what's telling me that this is not rolling like it should be rolling. So I've got to trust that. I got to trust the processes that haven't let us down all these years. And this process is telling me something different in this case, and I've got to trust what I'm finding in this case. That is up for interpretation. If this does turn out to be true, and Melodee was on the return trip and was spotted in Utah, this could be a problem. But it still won't affect my overall assessment. I still believe the child's alive. If she rented the car to go out to, because you got to remember, she was broke. Let me get power. Looks like I'm running out of power. So she was broke. She doesn't have a whole lot of money. Okay, we got to take that into consideration. She doesn't have a whole lot of money. Adjust this just a little bit. Get that up. There we go. There we go. Okay, thank you. We just needed to start charging. She was broke, so I don't see her spending money that she doesn't have to spend. So one of, we know that she is fluent in deceiving the system. She knew to not just rent the car, not just put the child in a wig, but also to change the license plate. She knew that. So this trip could have been a ploy to take the case further out just to hide the child closer to home. Or this is a situation, like I said, she left, she couldn't really call anybody, she didn't want the paper trail, and just went and knocked on the door and found out that the person wasn't there, or the person couldn't help her out, couldn't take her daughter, or whatever the case may be, and maybe she needed to go to other relatives. Maybe that's what took her into Kansas. It sounds like she was hunting for some place for her daughter to stay. And at least I pray that that's the case. I had to go back and forth a lot with the Travis Decker case. When Travis Decker, I had to go back and forth with that because I was seeing that he would have been deceased. All of my reports, the history, the psychological behaviors, everything, all the traits that I did, all the studying I did, I plugged a lot of information in about all the facts that I had to really hone in on Travis Decker, and that's what brought me to the assessment that he was deceased not too far from the girls. And they were, on this manhunt all over the state of Washington into Idaho, and I was just like, I don't believe he's there. I don't believe he's there. And I kept, just like I'm doing here, I kept saying, what law enforcement wanted me to say, and I kept saying, I really believe he's here. I really believe he's here. I really believe, he's here. And it's just, it's hard. Because, when you're on these things, you're the only one saying it. I was the only one saying he was near those children. I was the only one saying he was deceased not too far. Nobody else was saying that. None of the mainstream media was saying that. Nobody was really analyzing this case. No one was putting their opinion or perspective on it or trying to express this to their audience. We were doing that here on this channel. We were, And then come to find out, it took months and months and months later to find out we were spot on with that. I finally accepted I was wrong. And then come to find out that I was right. And I feel like that's in this case. I'm sitting here, I'm looking at all this. I feel like I'm right. I feel like I keep going back and checking and making sure that, I'm not missing anything. It doesn't appear like I'm missing anything in my assessment. And if I'm not missing anything in my assessment, then this child's not deceased. This child has not been sold. This child has been removed from the state of California and hidden from the officials taking her from them. And quite frankly, I don't understand why in the world they would take this child from their mother if it's just a truancy issue. And I don't even think it's a true truancy issue. I think it was a paperwork issue. And I think somebody forgot to assign this child the work, and this child didn't pick up the work to do the work. And the only thing that was wrong is mom didn't call the school to find out why the child wasn't getting her assignments. I truly believe it's just that stupid. Okay? I'm sorry, I do. And mom got spooked because she knew she's been hunky-dory, nobody's been bothering her. If you don't have anybody around and nobody's calling and nobody's coming over, and then all of a sudden people are coming around calling, it's a pretty noticeable event, wouldn't you think? I mean, I'm here all the time. When people start coming over here, especially when I'm live or doing my show, it drives me nuts because I don't ever get anybody over here. I mean, usually it's the neighbor, but he usually knows when I have a show. Oh, thank you, Robini. But I don't know. I'm just not digging this case. I'm not digging this case like I should be digging this case. Like we should be talking about how many ways that this woman has tried to unalive her child, did you see this? Oh my God, we should be doing that on this case, but I'm not doing that on this case because I don't believe in that. If we are doing that, it's because we believe it. This case is not, I'm trying to lower the tone on this case because the tone needs to be lowered. And the reason why I think the tone needs to be lowered is because the way it's going is when they find this child, whether this woman has committed a crime or done anything wrong or right, they're going to take that child. And I think that that's garbage. I think it's garbage. And if that's not their motivation, then they should give this woman a documentation to confirm that they are not trying to take this child out of her custody, and you'll find how quickly that she produces this child. I'm sorry. I'm not playing with these officials. We want children taken out of homes where there's abuse and their life is in immediate danger, not because you're pissed off that a person told you to take a hike. You know, that's just bull. I heard we had a troll.
Sneaky gremlins love to fight, but we're here to set it right. Jump and duck, let's take a shot. Turning trolls into what they're not.
Whack a troll, whack a troll.
Let 'em tumble, let 'em roll. Swing your spatula
Or a stick,
whack 'em fast.
whack 'em quick. All right, we'll stop you there. I know you little trolls are exciting. Are excited. We know the trolls are excited, right? But that's okay. It's not going to change. It's not going to change Bullhorn Betty. We deal with trolls. You know what? It's a badge of honor, right? Because only people that spark conversation, only people that actually have common sense get the trolls, right? If you're an idiot on these platforms, nobody really cares. They just let you be an idiot. But if you're bringing common sense and truth to power, they want to be over here. So it's a badge of honor. I got trolls. That means I have common sense. Woohoo! Who knew? Who knew? Oh, I got cat ears. Meow. Meow. I love those. Those things stay on there. Hey. That's cute. That's cute. Oh, cute. I know, they were cute. I haven't seen those. It's kind of cool. Because we don't do these shows. We're doing these shows often like this because, I'm going live earlier. And trust me, I do not have the patience to set up OBS. I will tell you that right now. I do not have the patience to set up OBS. I looked at it. I'm like, let's just go straight YouTube. And so that's what I did. I'm going straight YouTube. And if I see something, I'll flip the camera around and let you guys see it. But other than that, yeah, Maya, I remember that case. That was sad. That case made me cry. They kept saying the parents were abusing this lady and this little girl, and she had this disease, and they turned her into a freaking lab rat. What they did to this poor child, they traumatized this baby, ruined, and now they traumatized her whole family. I think, if I'm not mistaken, so much so that her mother ended up taking her own life. This is why we have our freedoms. This is why we have our freedoms. We have a choice to choose. And sometimes professionals get it wrong, and these sons of bitches still won't admit that they did something wrong. They just won't. That's what I can't stand about people. If you're going to sit there, I sit up here, I own everything. I own everything. If I say it, do it, I own it. I'm not going to lie about it. I don't care what happens to me. This is life. It is what it is. It gets a little messy at times. So what? But, when you're wrong, just acknowledge being wrong. Just acknowledge you were wrong. Nobody likes to admit when they're wrong. They try to avoid it. Thank you, Vicky. They try to point the finger. They try to pass the buck. We don't pass the buck over here. We don't believe in perfection either. And I know every single day I expect to make mistakes, lots of mistakes. Why? Because I'm a human being. What is human beings known for? Making mistakes. Okay? The one thing a human being is not known for is being perfect. Okay? Just thought I'd throw that out there to all of you. It's not being perfect. So, All right, guys. Well, that's really all my talking points. Same old, same old. I believe Ashlee's getting the shaft from the government. I would like to see Melodee. I'd like to make sure that she is okay. You know, this case has gotten to the point where it's questioning me questioning things too. I think it's just going to be the best thing for everybody for Ashlee to produce Melodee, but I think Ashlee needs some assurances. I think Ashlee is due and deserving of assurances. If their only concern is making sure this child is healthy, give her an agreement, give her a contract. You're not taking this child, right? Because I'm going to tell her I don't think she needs to come back into the jurisdiction. I don't trust this jurisdiction after this. I see what I see. Maybe other people don't see it, but I definitely see it. And you guys are wrong. You guys are wrong. You guys are wrong. I'm sorry, you're just wrong. There are no laws for truancy. They've got not a leg to stand on. They've got not a leg. Even Jennifer Coffindaffer on Julie Grant on Court TV, she was on there. And she's explaining it too. Like, they don't have a leg to stand on. And she didn't say it like that, but listen to how she's talking. Well, the mom can't take the child out. Well, no shit. And they did just decriminalize truancy as of August 1st of this year. Well, no shit. So again, what probable cause do they have? They have none. They can't go after her for truancy. There's nothing there. They removed that. That's a choice that California chose to make. So if there's no truancy, you can't go after her and hold her feet to the fire for truancy. Now you have to go back to the three things: abandonment, abuse, or neglect. And there's no way in hell they're going to be able to prove any of those. So again, going back to, do they have the authority to do this? And my answer to my audience is I don't believe they do. I don't believe they do. And no matter how we feel about it, doesn't matter how we feel about this. Even if we believed Melodee is in some type of danger, okay? Unfortunately, I don't believe that, but unfortunately, it doesn't matter. It matters with what authority does our law enforcement have, right? And they have extended and exceeded their authority in this case. They just have. They just have. I'm very concerned about this child's well-being too. I hope I'm right, but there's still that possibility I'm totally wrong. And this child is dead, and we need to find a deceased child, right? And we need to find out what happened to her, and we need to lock Ashlee's ass up. How many times have I been here? This is not the case that I'm looking at. It's just not. I'm not seeing it here. I'm seeing a whole bunch of hyperbole and a whole bunch of people embellishing circumstances. That's what I see. I haven't seen any concrete evidence or proof that this woman has put this child in harm's way. Not one scintilla. Nothing that they've even said to us, even remotely, implies that. Ask them. Go write Raquel Zick and see, is there abuse? Has there been a reported abuse in this family? Recent abuse in the last 4 years. She may not be able to answer, but the answer is no, there hasn't been. There hasn't been. This woman has not had the Department of Children and Family Services in her life in years. It's not what you think, it's what you can prove. But I think right now, but this is the problem, and I agree with that, Robini. But I think the problem is that it's not even what we think. Like, even the picture that's being painted here is not one that's screaming this child is in immediate danger. It's screaming that this mother is hiding this child from somebody. All the stuff we're looking at here, the wigs, the changing of the license plate. This doesn't look like a mom that's trying to kill her kid. If she wanted to kill her kid would have been killed in her home, like every other child, right? They're unalived in their home and taken out of their home to dispose of, or whatever the case may be. But if you really want to break down the cases, children predominantly are killed inside their homes. They're not taken alive out of state and unalived. It doesn't work like that. People don't Usually when things like that happen with child abuse, it's spur of the moment, okay? It's not thought out. It's not a planned or thing. When we're dealing with parents killing their children, you're dealing with parents that lose their shit and snap, okay? It's not one that they say, okay, on February 17th, I'm going to go and get some new bullets, and on the 18th, I'm going to chase my child down and unalive my child. Okay, when have we ever heard a story like that? There may be an outlier out there. I'm sure there probably is a story, but it doesn't happen like that typically. And we're supposed to believe that in this case, that's the way it happened. This woman made the decision she's going to unalive her child. She's made the decision she's done with her kid. And so she goes and rents a car and goes across. If that was just that, if that's all she was wanting to do, then why is her daughter still with her on the return trip? It seems pretty simple. Take her out to Nebraska, drop her off in the middle of nowhere, shove her off a rock, do whatever you're going to do to her, throw her out the car, sink her in a lake. That's a perfect place. So why would you go all the way out there to unalive your child and then start bringing her back home with you? It doesn't make sense. None of it makes sense. The logic in this case, or what they're trying to convince people is logical, is not logical. If you don't believe me, just play the tape through for yourself. Go look go back to the beginning of the case. Where were we at the beginning? What were the details of the case at the beginning? What are the details of the case now? Do they even remotely bode together anymore? They don't. Maybe with spouses. Okay, yeah, maybe with spouses. Yeah, I can see that. But, typically your children, you don't do it, I mean, we had those, I guess we had the family annihilators. And I don't know if the family, I don't think we've ever, I don't think we've ever known if the family annihilators planned these things weeks in advance. I feel like Anthony Todd had some type of, he stayed in that house with his deceased family for 2 weeks as they're in the same room with him. It was, ugh. When the cops did a wellness check on the house, they saw a foot, a purple foot, hanging out from a bed covering. That's how the case ended. It was really wild. But typically you have these type of things happen inside the home, and then they're transported outside of the home, right? Because the home is your comfort zone. It's your ultimate comfort zone. It's where you can literally do anything inside your home without anybody from the outside world knowing what you're doing. Logically, it just doesn't make sense if she wanted to unalive her kid. Now the next question is, did she sell her kid? Right? That's I hear a bunch of talking heads, idiot talking heads. I just want to say to the people, you guys are supposed to be smarter than Bullhorn Betty. I just want to throw that out there to all you book smart people on these platforms and on these TV shows. I just want to tell you, you guys are supposed to be so much smarter than me. You guys got a lot of higher education than Bullhorn Betty. But you know what? At the end of the day, the crap that I deal with is common sense, not smarts. And so I have this one lady on there saying, well, she could have been sold. Nebraska's a hotbed for sex trafficking, they say. So this mother that's kept this child, fought for this child, kept this child away from the family that was trying to steal this child, somehow is just going to say, my child's now an adult play toy. I see a lot of things in people's behaviors and moods, and I'm not seeing that. And I see a lot when you see people's eyes is now. We haven't been able to see this woman's eyes. She's had them covered up with, sunglasses and what have you. I don't know. I'm not buying into the narrative being driven by law enforcement. I'm not buying into it. I don't know why, but my gut's telling me something's not right. I'm trusting my gut. Wherever that gut leads me, wherever the leads lead me, The information that's been provided to us by law enforcement, the factual information is not one that's indicating that this child is dead. It's indicating that this child was removed from the state of California and hidden. Who is she being hidden from? That's the question we need to be asking. Like California has no S trafficking. Good point. Good point, Lisa B. Always. And not only that, she's close to Los Angeles, where a lot of crap goes on, right? We know Compton, Los Angeles, there's a lot. You're right. Lisa, thank you. You've already killed that argument here on the Bullhorn Betty channel. Yes, exactly. Just like that. You know, if she really wanted to ST her child or HT her child, she's in the state to do it. Okay? I don't think there's anybody that has the pedigree of California in the ST in the trafficking world. Okay? I think it's more of a hotbed than, let's say, Nebraska. Just saying. Great point. Great point. No, what did Candace Owens say? Oh, do tell. Oh, good gracious. Let's not go into Candace Owens. I can't do with. I don't want. Candace Owens is. She's a disappointment. Well, there's. Okay, let's talk about it. All right, let's talk about it. Let's give you the tea on what's happening in MAGA country. So we have heads, right? We have talking heads. We have political, like in Florida, once upon a time, me and JLR were pretty well known for doing our shenanigans all over the state of Florida. Okay, period. We were very well known in the state of Florida for the shenanigans. Lawful shenanigans, but shenanigans. And so we have leaders of our, key figures in our MAGA movement, key figures. And a few of those key figures that were once upon our MAGA movement, hey Nick, it's nice to see you, is Candace Owens, it's Tucker Carlson, it's Benny Johnson, it's, Charlie Kirk, it's a lot of people. And now we have one faction, and even conservative aunt, which is right here in my backyard, very well known people that are now questioning, because of Candace Owens, is now questioning some people in the inner circle of Charlie Kirk. I'm not going to question those people in the inner circle of Charlie Kirk. I'm not going to do it just yet. I haven't seen any reason to. And people are getting mad because, why aren't we asking more questions? That this lone Tyler guy, I don't think Tyler did this. I think there was brainwashing, and I think that there was other actors in this. I don't think that they were close to Charlie Kirk. I just don't. But Candace Owens, her and Charlie Kirk's relationship kind of split and splintered between 2022 and 2023. They were no longer, I don't know if they were, friendly at one time. Like, it seemed like some of the stuff they did as, it looked like they were a couple, so to speak, right? But I don't think that they ever were a couple. And they did a lot of stuff together, fishing, a lot of personal stuff that you do with friends and stuff like that. So they were either very, very good friends, or they were very friendly with one another and maybe looking to do that. So there might be some other issues there with Candace Owens. We need to put that out there because the truth is the truth. Okay? But ultimately, we all know that Charlie Kirk, kind of separated himself from Candace at one point. It was about 2022, 2023. And Candace was really going overboard on, Israel. Like, Israel is the response, everything bad going on is Israel's fault. Just going on to that. And it was starting to get to the point where it was causing a lot of rift in the conservative movement. So, she kind of was still associated with Brexit. And so the relationship between her and Charlie Kirk couldn't be just, done. They still had a lot of activism that they were still, contractually tied to. Okay, let's talk about it. It's not friendship. These are contracts. This is a business. This is business relationships. This is not just, a whole bunch of people coming together and doing this. I mean, we got a lot of contracts going on here. There's a lot of, this is a business, okay? You got to understand that. Charlie Kirk was running an enterprise, a $200 million operating budget a year enterprise known as Turning Points USA. Huge efforts. And when this thing came down, obviously Candace was one of the first to fall, and she lost a lot of her sponsoring, and that relationship between her and Charlie were strained. As you guys know, then came Tucker Carlson. He ended up getting fired from Fox News. Well, there's been a lot of hard feelings because it sounds like Israel was paying a lot of these people money. They were sponsoring them. And so as relationships started straining, those sponsorships went away, and now you got people that are angry that they're not making the money that they had. They don't have the platforms that they had. Everybody says Tucker Carlson is this huge guy, which he is, but he's losing his base. He's losing his base because he has gone completely anti-Israel, and we can't have that. We're Americans. Israel is a major ally to America, and that's just the reality. That's just the name of the game. They are a huge ally to us. Now, I question whether Benjamin Netanyahu is the right leader for Israel, but to condemn Israel is one thing. To condemn who's running Israel and their intentions is another. I'm keeping it with Bibi, okay? It doesn't go past Bibi. It's definitely not swatting or smacking at the Israeli people. And I feel like the stuff that's been coming out of Candace Owens and Tucker Carlson's mouth is not, I don't know what they call it, xenophobia, whatever. I don't think it's like that. I just think that they are upset with Israel. They're upset with Benjamin Netanyahu, and they're taking it out and painting Israel with a broad brush. And there are a lot of people like Mark Levin that don't like it. Now, I don't agree with Mark Levin either, and how his handling of this is. But I don't think that we're going to get anywhere by condemning Israel. Period. So anybody that's on that bandwagon is going to lose their MAGA support. They're going to lose it. It's not that Israel doesn't like criticism. It has nothing to do with that. It's the American people that still highly respect Israel. Israel is our ally. We protect them. They protect us. There's a lot of stuff that we do going back and forth, and to try to put a wedge between us and Israel will not work. And it doesn't matter if it's Candace Owens or Tucker Carlson, it's not going to work. And they can go, anti-Israel all day long, whatever they'd like to do, and that's on them. Do I have high respect for Tucker Carlson? I do. Do I have respect for Candace Owens? Not too much anymore. And the reason why I don't have the respect I had for Candace Owens now is because she has been asked by the family to stop. The family. And she won't. And I'm sorry, but if I was in a situation where one of my friends was killed in such a public way, and I'm fighting for truth, and my family and his family asked me to stop being so public, I would. Because that's my friend. I respect his family. And so I would stop. Now, would it stop my investigation? Probably not. I'd probably go behind the scenes. It probably wouldn't stop my work. I would just respect the family and stop doing it publicly and stop saying things like President Trump did this or somebody in his inner circle did this. You're creating issues that don't exist. I have no respect for Candace Owens at all. And quite frankly, my allegiance and my respect for Tucker Carlson is getting lower and lower. Okay? Marjorie Taylor Greene, she's done. Tom Massey, he's done. Rand Paul, I think he should be done. But, his daddy still has a lot of pull, and Rand Paul might still be safe. But I think Massey and Marjorie Taylor Greene, unless they convert over to Democrat, which you guys can have both of them, I don't think they're going to win. I don't think they're going to have the support of our party. So that's just my opinion. No, but Israel's our ally. You guys got to understand that they're not going anywhere. I mean, and anything short of them like coming after America, there's nothing. You can bitch about them all day long, but be careful because we have a lot of business business. America has a lot of business, very profitable business with Israel. Okay? Whether you guys know it or not, it's not as simple as saying, oh, we just need to cut ties with this and that, you know? Like, I try to cut ties with, like, UN. Like, I think the UN's worthless. But it's not cutting ties with the EU. It's not cutting ties with any of those countries that are associated with the UN, right? It's just Israel probably owns you. They probably do. Hey, Israel, if you want to sponsor somebody, Bullhorn Betty's bank accounts are pretty low. I'll take your millions of dollars. I'll pat you guys on the back. I'll put you guys on a pedestal. I got nothing. You guys are my friends. You're my friends. I still love you guys. You know, I'm just saying. They just need a little Bullhorn Betty. But the difference is when I have a falling out, I'm not going to go to YouTube and like, oh my God, these people need to go down, right? I can't stand people like that. It's like you're on, like I've been part of MAGA. Trust me, there's been things that I feel like I should have gotten. Like I was wanting to be on the tourist fund, you know, where our tourist tax dollars go here. This is when I was actually wanting to be a part of my government. Now I just bitch at them all. And I was George Cruz, which I'm now going to remove from his seat, blocked my my nomination. So now, you know what? I've been courteous and nice to him, and he's pissed me off his last time, so now I'm taking his job. His cushy, padded job. I'm taking him. Kicking him off the BOC seaport, right? It's going to take a lot of work, but I'm going to get it done. And I don't do it alone. I have thousands of people behind me. But, you know, we got to get it moving. We got to get the whole thousands of people moving in the right direction. Israel has Intel chips programs, in my opinion. Yeah, and they also have, I mean, look at it. They have the dome, you know, like they've got a lot of technology that we need to, you know, rub elbows to get. And check clears, we're all good. Yeah, that's it. So, yeah, they shouldn't be doing that. Yeah, I don't get it, you know, and again, it comes down to the Candace Owens thing. I you know, do I stand with Tucker? I don't know anymore, because is Tucker really going after what's in the best interest of America? I feel like Donald Trump had to make decisions on certain people to move forward with during the second administration, and the people that he chose not to move forward with are butthurt, and they're lashing out. That's the way I'm looking at this, right? It seems like everybody that has worked to advance the MAGA movement that didn't get what they wanted out of what they were doing. That means that their stuff was self-serving, right? They were doing this for self-serving purposes. They were doing it for future employment. I'm not doing it for future employment. I'm MAGA because we need a change in the United States. The crap I've done for free. It's cost me money to do the work that I've done. It cost me thousands of dollars, tens of thousands of dollars to do the work that I've done. Okay, I got paid zero. And it just seems like when they didn't get what they wanted, they turned. They're like a hate channel, right? They're like a hate channel. So those are the people, if they will do that, it doesn't matter how strong they were in the movement, like Tucker Carlson. It doesn't matter how strong he was in the movement. It matters when he started defecting. Right? When he started changing because he didn't get his way. When he started changing his narrative and running different stories because things didn't go his way. That's integrity. And that's a lack thereof of integrity. That means you were doing the right thing with the promise of getting something out of it. But once your promise, once the thing that you were supposed to get out of it didn't come out of it, you want to go, you want to do a 180 and start tanking it. You know, it's like a little kid that doesn't get the toy that he wanted, so he goes over to his sister's toy and destroys it, right? That's what I feel like I'm dealing with here when it comes to this. Integrity is everything. It is. And don't get me wrong, I like Tucker Carlson. I just feel like a lot of people have lost their way, and he's gotten to the point where he's so pompous that he'll tell you to go fuck yourself. If you disagree with him or you try to approach him with something different, he's just nasty anymore. That wasn't the same Tucker that we were rolling with back in 2015 and 2016. I'm sorry, it wasn't. The Tucker Carlson that we have now is a different Tucker Carlson than we learned to love. So something happened. He either got so pissed off that it changed him, or he was different and he got paid to say things. And when he stopped being paid to say those things, he changed his statements. Something went on, but I don't know what it is because I don't understand that. You know, a lot of these people do these things, like even Laura Loomer. I didn't realize that she has sponsors, you know, some sponsors from Israel. I had no idea that even happened. You know, I had no idea. I don't know that aspect of it because I don't work that aspect of it. The only people that sponsor me doing my stuff is this tiny little channel. You know, you guys are the sponsors of whatever we do. If we go somewhere, you sponsor the trip. You know, I don't have, you know, Israel sponsoring the trip. I would like, you know, Hertz rental car, you know, American Airlines. You know, I use you guys often. If you I could use some sponsors here. I'll make sure we get some good cuts and clips. I'll record all your people in the plane smiling and handing me my soda pop. You know, I'm just saying. Mama needs shoes. Mama needs shoes. All right, guys, I really got to go. I got to get dressed. I came here to say good morning to you guys, but I've got to get my day started. My best friend's in the hospital. I got to get up. I got to throw a face on, and I got to go out and face the day and go see my best friend. Pray for her. I hope that I'm hoping that she can have her surgery today, or at least get some draining going in there. From what I hear, it's like a big old something. So just pray for her, and they did admit her. So you know that if they admit you, the hospitals don't like admitting patients anymore. They don't. They like, you get a heart surgery, you're home that night. It's the craziest thing I've ever heard in my life. Like, even heart surgery, fresh out of heart surgery, you used to stay in the hospital overnight. They don't put you in a hospital overnight. You have a heart surgery, you go home. My neighbor across the street had brain surgery, and she was home at night. Went in the morning for brain surgery, comes home and goes has her cousin over at her house. I'm not lying. Brain surgery. Craziest thing. Anyways, she was admitted, so I know that it's very, very serious. I also heard that the infection's got her blood pressure all over the place, so she's not doing good. She's alive, she's kicking, she can speak, but she's in a lot of pain. She said she was even on some morphine and stuff like that, and it said that it wasn't even knocking her out. She's in the hospital. She says it's not even hardly doing anything with the pain. I'm like, oh, so it's pretty bad. It's pretty bad. Oh, thank you for the makeup brush. Aw, sending lots of love and prayers. She'll appreciate it, guys. She'll appreciate it. All right, guys, rock it out with your coffee beans out. We'll see you soon. I'll be back here as soon as I get back from the hospital. I'll come live and give you guys an update on Laura. So we'll see you guys soon. Bye.